Hello, welcome to the Ghana Agenda. My name is Alfred Amuzu. Today is December 17th, 2022, and we are back in action. We've been gone for a little bit. Reasons to take care of some personal businesses. So now that that is done, we are back for the rest of the year. And today we would be discussing some of the most important issues cropping up this week. Martha, let me check on my camera quickly and then we continue this discussion. All right, are we good with camera? Let's see. Perfect. I think we're good on camera. All right. So today we are talking about the NDC and their internal context. We've heard so many bickering around that, where the two personalities running for chairman, in this case, Chairman Ofosu Ampofo and General Mosquito, have been going at each other. Today is actually that election, so we would be getting feed perhaps from the ground just to kind of keep you up to date on what is going on and whether in fact the party, the NDC, is prepared for 2024 to take the mantle from the NDC. Also, there is one with the youth election, or the chairperson of the youth wing of the NDC's election, where Boja Jemfi, in this particular case, we're running against the current incumbent, Pablo, who's, I think his name is Opari Addo. Apparently, there's an injunction, there's a current temporary restraining order filed, which I have seen copies made the rounds on social media, which we'll also be talking about. In addition to that, our president came to the United States as part of the U.S. African Summit, and he made some comments about activities of mercenaries at our northern border, specifically saying that the countries of Cote d'Ivoire, the countries of Burkina Faso and Mali has somehow engaged these Russian mercenaries to offer protections for them, and that is against what ECOWAS stands for. And he actually went on to say some of the things he did as the chairman of ECOWAS during his term, and when all these coups will happen like the ones that we saw in Guinea, etc., etc. So we would also be talking about that. And then the last thing we want to talk about is the Ghanaian cedi is on the rebound. In other words, we witnessed the cedis actually depreciated against the dollar all the way up to about 15 to 14 cedis per dollar. But that has since reversed. We are currently seeing around 8 or so cedis to a dollar, even inching towards 7 cedis to a dollar. And we want to kind of discuss what is accounting for all this. Is it the IMF bailout that we are undertaking, or are there other policy ramifications or policy decisions that has been taken by this government, which has caused this improvement in the cedi as we speak? So with this, I'll be joined by my regular panelists. I have Fameo joining, Paul Disosu is joining. Paul Disosu's actually name came up in one discussion with Pablo, where he made a comment, and that comment was read to Pablo on live TV. We'll be playing that and how Pablo reacted. And since Paul Disosu is with us, we'll try to understand what is it that he was trying to communicate and whether he was misunderstood, or if the reaction from Pablo, in this particular case, the NDC youth leader of the youth wing, is accurate, and or if there is any reaction from him that he would like to send across the bar. With that, again, my name is Alfred Amuzu. We'll take a quick commercial break, and when we get back, we'll start the conversation. If this is the first time you're watching, please share the link. I need to get this sweat out of my face. Just jump out of the bathroom to do this. But anyway, share the link so that others who may be interested in the show can also view us. We will be right back to continue our discussions. Please share the link.
Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. If you are 65 years and older, there's one thing we can all agree on. Your health and well-being is important. Whether you are a recent green card holder or retiree, asylee or without paper, you're now eligible for the Illinois Medicaid health insurance program. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. Documents needed to apply: your proof of ID, your proof of address, and your proof of income.
All right. So as I wait for my guest to join the show, I want us to start the conversation. And I would like to play a tape so that we can, start the commentary on those tapes as we wait for my guest to arrive in studio. There's been, of course, this is that political season. We know there's all kinds of campaigns going on. So we are going to hear a lot of issues around that. Asedun Ketia has been very thorny in the flesh of the party recently, making Ansari comments. But the way I want to start the conversation today is from what the president of the Republic, which is Nana Akufo Addo, said when he visited the United States. Let me get that video ready for you. I would like for your comments on this video as we wait for our discussions to start today. Reason we're playing this is that, here we are. We have our president participating in a program that was organized by the U.S. State Department between African leaders and the U.S. State Department and Congress. So our president, as we were, he speaks very well. So he's attended one of these, and he gave a speech, one of which was to the extent that Africans should start to perhaps cooperate among themselves and, utilize the resources that we have in Africa. We have gold, diamonds, name it, we have it. That we should use these resources to develop our continent instead of depending on aid or going to beg for, help from the European and the Western countries, to which there was a lot of criticism. People said, here you are, Mr. President, you've just actually gone into an agreement with the IMF, or at least there's a start level agreement between your country and the IMF, to which the IMF will be providing you some $3 billion to support your economy. Because of economic inefficiencies, your currency has depreciated and is performing as the worst currency in the world today. How do you, just on the back of that agreement, try to speak to the rest of Africa as though you weren't even participating in that? So, it's important that, you administer the medicine you are recommending to other peoples before, you come talking to us about it. So again, quickly, let me take a quick commercial break so I could plug my computer in, because I'm getting a signal that my computer is going down. I'll be right back to continue the conversation. Please share the link. We have a lot of interesting things to talk about today. When I return, I'm going to play the president's comments, because he made the economic comments, which was, okay, fine. That's a position you are able to take, even though you are taking these loans yourself, you are begging for this aid yourself, but, you are, posing the righteousness persona, and you're telling us things that you are personally engaging yourself. However, he took it further. He actually started talking foreign policy, and we would play the tape about his foreign policy commentary, which is overshadowing a rather good trip that he's had with Congress and conversations that perhaps may benefit our country. We'll be right back to play that. Let me plug my computer. In the meantime, let's take these commercial break. We'll be right back.
Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. If you are 65 years and older, there's one thing we can all agree on. Your health and well-being is important. Whether you are a recent green card holder or retiree, asylee or without paper, you're now eligible for the Illinois Medicaid Health Insurance Program. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. Documents needed to apply: your proof of ID, your proof of address, and your proof of income.
All right, welcome back to the show. So like I was saying, our president actually had a rather good meeting with Congress. He discussed things that they could do to help our economy from the standpoint of, aid or help with programs that the government has prioritized to rescue the economy, because we know what's happening to our economy, right? But the president went a step further to discuss foreign policy. And that foreign policy discussion I want to play so that we can actually see whether this one is called for. Number two is something that you would approve of. So let me show that video. And what I need to do as we wait for my guests to join the show is to get your opinion on what we will hear from the president. All right?
Part of the meeting.
All right.
And its significance for us. And I think that beyond everything, that is a matter that I want to urge upon you. Today, Russian mercenaries are on our northern border. Burkina Faso has now entered into an arrangement to go along with Mali in employing the Wagner forces there. I believe a mine in southern Burkina has been allocated to them as a form of payment for their services. Prime Minister of Burkina Faso in the last 10 days has been in Moscow. And to have them operating on our northern border is particularly distressing for us in Ghana. Apart from not accepting the idea of great powers once again making Africa their theater of operation, we have a particular position that you know about over the Ukraine war, where we have been very, very vocal and upfront about condemning the invasion of Russia by Russia. And therefore, then now to have this group at our borders is a matter of some considerable disquiet and concern for us. And we really like to have a privileged opportunity to talk about its implications and what we believe ought to be the case. This is what took place with the discussion in the Congress yesterday, which I found very fruitful. And I would like that the themes of that discussion should be the themes that we should continue to address. To what extent we can have you as a partner in confronting these threats. It is very important that ECOWAS and the West African area remains a democratic space. There's a reason for the actions we took over the coup d'etats in Burkina Faso, in Mali, and in Guinea. And ECOWAS has been very consistent in refusing to deal with these governments because of the undemocratic.
All right. So you had the president there, and first of all, how did this video actually made it out? Because I don't necessarily think this is something that was open to the media, because we didn't catch this on any of the US channels here, right? So somebody recorded this. How did this get up? And I hope there is some investigation into this, because some of these conversations are internal conversations that even I am not interested in hearing, because if you are trying to elicit the support of the United States in a matter against Russia, we know Russia and what Russia is doing on the world stage. If you're trying to elicit support from the US to combat any such threats to your nation, I think this should be held in closed door, and it shouldn't be something that is brought to the public domain the way this one actually did. So I am very concerned that someone perhaps on the Ghana side is recording this. Hopefully it's not, if it is not from the Ghana side, then I would even be a lot more concerned. Who could it be? Who is in a meeting as such doing this recording and sharing, so that even the common person is hearing about the type of help we are seeking from the United States to help us combat Russian mercenaries. Now, let's go back to the historical antecedents of some of these things, right? We recall the role of ECOWAS during the 90s, when we were having issues in a place like Liberia. That was the time that we had President Rawlings as chairman of ECOWAS and as president of Ghana, and he was able to put together what we call ECOMOG, which is a military wing of ECOWAS, to deal with some of the sectorial issues. Like if there's an issue, is supposed to be like the one we have in Mali now, where there is a coup. That's if ECOWAS, as an organization, is not necessarily comfortable with that, ECOWAS can actually undertake action to curb or to help restore a democratic process. We got to remember that when all these efforts were going on, even in Ghana ourselves, we were not democratic. So, ECOWAS operated with even a non-democratic president in Rawlings as chairperson. So is it the template of ECOWAS now that all countries within that sub-region should be democratic? And if they are not democratic, that's the Ghanaian president, who just served his term as the ECOWAS chair, is asking a foreign power to come and help against mercenaries that are perhaps assisting the individual countries like Burkina Faso to maintain the security. Because what we heard about place like Burkina Faso is that there were jihadists, there were these Islamic extremists who are beginning to take over cities. And when they do take over those cities, that they are taking the mines in the cities, mining the golds and the diamonds from those villages and the cities, and using it to supply to support their operations, buy arms, and take even bigger cities. So to a certain extent, you go to Mali or Burkina Faso, for instance, majority of the populations in those either of those countries are actually under the governance of these Islamists. In order to fight those Islamists, those countries have enlisted the help of Russian mercenaries. These Russian mercenaries are helping the government fight the Islamists. So which side are we? Are we saying that, okay, the governments of those countries should shun any relationship they have with the mercenaries, and then engage them direct and allow the Islamists to take over their countries? We know what happens when these Islamists take over our country. We are not saying it results in anything bad, but of course the lessons are there for us to see, right? Oh, I don't know why I'm sweating so much today, but please bear with me. I have one quick comment here. Let me see who is. If you have comments, please share it so we can. Okay, somebody's just there. Kum Beatrice is watching, and thanks for watching the show, Kum. Please share the link so that others can join as well. I have one of my guests joining me now, called Joe DC. I'm going to add him to the show. Kojo, welcome to the show. Kojo, So I kept going on the president's speech that he that leaked pretty much. I don't necessarily think this was something that was recorded and authorized to be released. Such discussions are very high level discussions, especially those that are soliciting assistance from the West to assist in some type of action against mercenaries. That should be something that is kept behind closed doors and not something in the public domain. But here we are. Somebody recorded that, and I hope the recorder is not coming from the Ghanaian side. Otherwise, there should be some sort of investigation into this to kind of make sure that in the cycle of the president, people who follow him to disengagement are not people who would, record these informations and leak them out. Beyond that, there is also the concern that, okay, so I have everybody joining now. So let me just pause on this topic because I would like to kind of take the contribution of my team members as well. So I have Paul Disoso also joining. Paul Disoso, welcome to the show. Maybe I should play the video again and we can all take a bite on it. But basically, I am worried. I am worried that where a country that is being dominated by Islamics, for instance, in Burkina Faso and Mali, we know the story that both there are two jihadist factions that are fighting in those countries for territory. They are capturing territory. They are, whenever they do, they capture the gold mines, and they're using these gold mines to support their activities within the region. And before you know it, those things could spill over to us. So countries like Burkina Faso and Mali have decided to engage mercenaries to help their government fight. They had the French government supply military to them, but what we realize is while the French are there, even the influence of the Islamists continue to increase. So perhaps the assistance they sorted from this Russian mercenaries is helping them curb the situation. For the past few years, Mali has stabilized, so has Burkina Faso, because it took within 2 years for us to see 4 different coups d'etats. So for our president to kind of say this thing, to me, should be closed door and not be recorded. Of course, we are concerned that we have Russia on our borders, right? But the way he put it, he framed it that we as a country had strongly opposed Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and perhaps he's reading the meaning into the fact that we have these mercenaries on our borders, and whether that could somehow spill into our country, because these mercenaries working on direction of Putin may be interested in destabilizing our country. I find that as very far-fetched, because I don't necessarily think mercenaries are working for the government of Russia. These are not government of Russia military helping. These are mercenaries, which means they are commercial paramilitary who have been engaged by Burkina Faso and Mali. And Burkina Faso and Mali use mines or golds or diamonds that they dig from their mine to pay these people. What is your take on this? Let me start from Kojo. Kojo, you're on the road. Be careful now.
Yeah.
If you like, I could play the video one more time. Just
can you do that?
Just to refresh your mind, and then take your
part of the meeting, and its significance for us. And I think that beyond everything, that is a matter that I want to urge upon you. Today, Russian mercenaries are on our northern border. Burkina Faso has now entered into an arrangement to go along with Mali in employing the Wagner forces there. I believe a mine in southern Burkina has been allocated to them as a form of payment for their services. Prime Minister of Burkina Faso in the last 10 days has been in Moscow. And to have them operating on our northern border is particularly distressing for us in Ghana. Apart from not accepting the idea of great powers once again making Africa their theater of operation, we have a particular position that you know about over the Ukraine war, where we have been very, very vocal and upfront about condemning the invasion of Russia by Russia. And therefore, they're now to have this group at our borders is a matter of some considerable disquiet and concern for us. We really like to have a privileged opportunity to talk about its implications and what we believe ought to be the case. This is what took place with the discussion in the Congress yesterday, which I found very fruitful. And I would like the themes of that discussion should be the themes that we should continue to address. To what extent we can have you as a partner in confronting these threats. It is very important that ECOWAS and the West African area remains a democratic space. There's a reason for the actions we took over the coup d'etats in Burkina Faso, in Mali, and in Guinea. And ECOWAS has been very consistent in refusing to deal with these governments because of the undemocratic.
Back to the studio, and let me ask, what is more distressing? Is it or what should be more distressing? Should it be the fact that we have Islamic terrorists occupying Burkina Faso, or we have Russian mercenaries helping the government of Burkina Faso solve these issues? Let's talk to you first, Kojo.
Thank you very much, Amazu. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfect.
All right, I've taken my cam off because I'm driving, so I can pay attention. It's been a while. Nice seeing you. I hope you become my lawyer very soon. So I pray that everything went well when you did your exams. We have missed you, and thank you for coming back. And then hello to my brother Paul. Unfortunately, I think he couldn't make it, or if he couldn't, his person didn't. We're still soldiering on, You can't.
Paul is there.
Oh, Paul is there. I might have, so hello, say hi to. Okay, so concerning this very you might call it a leak video, but once it's showing up people sitting down, it means it's something that was recorded. And I will come from a different angle on this before I pursue whatever that the president was saying.
Right.
He said that this is something that the Americans will it might happen the foreign leak it out. They just want to know that they have that support. He said it's a communication gimmick, or in a way saying that the entire nation of Africa, in some quote unquote, remember the president is the head of the chairman of the ECOWAS, right? As we speak now. So
no, he's no longer the chairman.
Oh,
his tenure ended September 2022.
Oh, for real? I have not heard about it. I apologize. So so I apologize. So even in that, he was the former one. He is preview to some information that we done. So this thing is just basically is linked basically for people to know that Africans support the United States and then the Western ally against what Putin has done in terms of invading Ukraine. Now, let me come to the substantive issue of what the president was alluding to. If you have listened to CNN and other news agencies, you can see the Russians have these paramilitaries, especially when you remember they have these people that it's basically under the Russian regime. When it was Syria, they were carpeting bombing Syria when they had the former the president of Syria. What's the name? What's the name? The name comes in and out. Assad. Yes. Yeah. When he used chemical weapon on his people, when the former president Barack Obama said he was drawing a gun, you saw the people were fighting. These are the militias of the Russian people who went there and carpet bombing the citizenry, the indigenous people of the country. And they are all over in Africa recruiting people. If you listen to some people, I think recently there was one that was fighting an African guy from one of the northern part of Africa was fighting because they've been recruited to fight against the Ukrainian people. So yes, the president will be privy to so many things that we don't know. We have security agency within the ECOWAS, even though he's not a chairman, he's still a member of the ECOWAS because he's a sitting president. So they might be privy to it. And we should also not underestimate what the Russians are doing. They are all over the place, and they are very, very bad people, which the Russian government, quote unquote, might not say they are their people, but they are within the Russian military and the Russian hierarchy that are giving powers to these people to operate in under what way. You understand? So yes, there might be some truth to it, and it's scary. You're talking about we having Boko Haram and other terrorist group in Africa, which is scary. But to have these people, look at our country, for instance, as Ghana. When you see anybody whose color is white, yeah, Obroni, and they can infiltrate in our body politics, they can cause a lot of harm, especially when our president, for instance, had always been the side of the Ukraine and the Western world, talking about the invasion of Ukraine. It's needless and it's unlawful. So we have to be careful. We shouldn't just take it like, oh, this is supposed to be the it's good that way. So people will be educated. People will know that, yes, there might be some target on some part of African countries. He mentioned a Burkina Faso president or one of the presidents going to Russia in recent times. You never know what people are planning. And as Africans, we are always going backwards because of our selfish interest of some individuals who are in position of power.
But let me interrupt you real quick and say that the question really what I was trying to get from you is the alternative is that we have Boko Haram and these other Islamic groups taking over those countries, and it has resulted in about 4 or 5 coup d'etats within the span of a year or two. In this particular instance, this Burkina Faso sovereign government of Burkina Faso have decided that for them to secure their country, that they needed to, have an arrangement with Russian mercenaries, right? And they've made that decision. So far, it has stopped the coup d'etats from the frequent coup d'etats in those countries. So what our president is saying, is a big snub in their face. That one
snub in wood face.
In the face of the countries of Burkina Faso and Mali, who are trying to solve their internal problems, however best they see it fit.
Okay. And, can I comment? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Okay.
Yeah. So my thing is, when he was the ECOWAS chairperson, ECOWAS in the past, as we know, had ECOMOC to assist sister countries that are going through these troubles of frequent coup d'etats to stabilize their country. What has he done? Besides saying that, oh, you're a coup leader, you're supposed to turn over within a specific time frame. If you don't turn over, we are not talking to you. That's all he did. And that's what he's even telling them, that he took those actions. His actions were, we are not speaking to you because you are not democratic. Is it a requirement that an ECOWAS country has to be a democratic country in order to be part of ECOWAS? Because for the longest, Ghana was not democratic, and we were even chairing the ECOWAS organization.
Amazu, I think I lost in a little bit. Am I back?
Yeah, you are back.
All right. Okay. So listen. First of all, I don't think the president is snubbing in their face. Yeah, they are serving country, but first of all, these people who are now seeking these mercenaries coming in there, how did they come into power? We have this saying in Akan, why wouldn't it have gone through a legitimate way instead of overthrowing the government that was elected by the people? So first of all,
I guess my thing is that Ghana was when Rawlings was in power between 1980, almost 70, was it 79 all the way
Yeah,
through
79,
1992?
79, 81 back, 79, then came back 81.
Through 1992, he was not a democratic. We didn't have democratic government in the Republic of Ghana.
Yes.
But he Rawlings was at some point chairman of ECOWAS, organized ECOMOC against the atrocities we saw in places like Liberia when Samuel Doe and co were slaughtering
That
their
was
people.
that was in 1989, 87 thereabout, right? So there
Perfect. So
has been,
my question is it a requirement for West African countries to be democratic in order to participate fully in ECOWAS?
No, but just look back, Alfred. Look back within from the 70s to the latter part of the 80s. Majority of these ECOWAS countries most of them were in military coup d'etats or military leaders that were leading. So it was somewhere where we were transitioning a little bit by a little, right? You can remember, with exception, which I can be correct on. For Boahin, which was Ivory Coast, was democratic elected. If you go to Togo, it was. If you go to the other side, the northern part, most of them were military dictators. So it was kind of something of a norm then. Then we transited in the 90s coming back, and most of these people were being elected. And then we've gone all the way to now in the 20th century where we think that military rules are not something the citizens do because we don't even have a say. We don't have a parliament as we have in government. Ghana now that we have a parliament, which are the representative of the people, right? So in that time, it's different. We've transited to a different level and we've all agreed to a certain say that this is what we all believe supposed to be to be done. This is the norm. And then you go back to the 80s thinking that that is the way out. Would are you giving your message to the people to be voted into power? If you think whoever the president is not doing a good job, that's why we have time of electing people. Why didn't the military people?
I would like to explore the the democracy we practice in Africa because you mentioned countries like Togo and others, right? So I would like to explore the type of democracy we practice really in Africa where some presidents win 99% of the votes and they do so because of disenfranchisement, because of all the kinds of things they do. So I like to explore that.
Let me say this
land
quick,
and
right? Let me say this. Yes, I know where you're coming from in terms of how democracy is practiced in Africa, in our part of the world. Just remember, democracy doesn't necessarily mean the executive. We have the parliament. If you are able to have parliament, which is the people's parliament, they are the people who speak on behalf of the people, right? So even if there's a little bit of dictatorship, even though it's a democratic elected, at least we have a representative that can speak on our behalf, who can be either in opposition or in government, that can speak on behalf of the people. So in that case alone is better than having just a military rule that we don't have a say at all in terms of people opposing for anything and everything is just endorsed.
Okay, so a little bit of democracy is good as long as we have, all right. Let me go to Paul on this particular issue, and then we kind of quickly switch because I want quick commentary. Paul, you belong to the NDC. You have death of info or worth of memory with regards to how our democracy unfolded from, especially within this Fourth Republic, and the role we played even ECOWAS, building ECOMOC and assisting other countries to resolve their problems. Do you think our president goofed on this issue or that he raised on camera?
Thank you, Alfred. Good afternoon to you all. And I'm not feeling very well.
Yeah.
But I have to join this program because I promised I was going to join. I'm not feeling too good, but I'll be here to, contribute my quota. This is what we do.
Right.
And this is the love we have for politics. We have, depth interest in politics for our party. And we love the NDC very much. So we'll be there to support the NDC anytime, anywhere we are called upon. Well, to start with, I just want to say hello and good afternoon to my comrade, Kojo DC
Kojo
and
DC.
yourself and your good self. I mean, I've listened to the video and I've analyzed the video, and I think it was unfortunate for our president to be making such statements. I mean, I don't know where he got his security briefing from. Okay, the security briefing that they gave to him must be authentic or must be very correct. But I personally think, I mean, the way he presented it came up with a lot of issues. As we speak, the Burkinabe president has withdrawn the ambassador to Ghana, recall them back home,
Right.
questions. And also, I know for a fact that the ambassador of Ghana in Burkina Faso has been called by the Burkinabe government to also come and answer questions.
Right.
It's unfortunate for the president to make such, I mean, statements, and especially knowing that, I mean, Russia is, I mean, one of the power forces in the whole world. Talking about America, I mean, we have to be very careful. And I personally think this statement, unfortunate statement he has made, he has opened ourselves, or as he's opened up Ghana for a possible attack by missionaries.
I don't think so. But yeah, that's your opinion.
Yes, he has possibly opened Ghana for attack by missionaries because accusing Russia that Russia has sent missionaries to the Burkina Faso enclave. I mean, it's unfounded. It's unfounded. The government of Russia.
I mean, are you saying that Russia hasn't done so? Because basically what is happening is, and we need to really understand what the mercenaries are. Mercenaries are commercial military.
That's why I'm coming to. That's why
Right.
I'm coming to.
It doesn't take the country to deploy those people.
He linked it to Russia. Assuming.
Yeah, he did.
He linked it to Russia, creating pressure so the Russian government knows something about it, which is unfortunate. Diplomatics in the diplomatic circle, these things are done behind the closed doors. And it's unfortunate that this video is out there and a lot of people are commenting about it. What I would say, or what I would recommend, is that our president should be well briefed. He should be well, coached in the future in making such, unguarded statements out there. And it's unfortunate that this video is out there. And as Kojo said, he was talking about the perspective that they put this video out there so that, the Russians would know that, people are against them. But I personally think it's unfortunate that this video has been leaked.
But that really wouldn't be the forum, right? If you really want to show displeasure to what Russia is doing in Ukraine, you have the United Nations, which we are the current chairs of the Security Council, right, in the United Nations. So you make your whatever disagreements you have with Russia known there. This is not, and I understand the point here. So that's Kojo's perspective anyway. But what the president was really asking for is support from the US to fight what is happening in the northern borders. For me, what is the option? The alternative? The alternative is that we have jihadists taking over major parts of those countries to where those countries are becoming ungovernable. We were seeing 4 coup d'etats occurring within 1 year since they brought this Russian militants or Russian mercenaries. We've seen a stabilized Mali. It's not been coup d'etat for a while. We've seen a stabilized Burkina Faso. How do you meddle in your neighbors' foreign policy this publicly? That's my concern.
That is what I am saying, that it was unfortunate that these are foreign diplomatic issues that they need to deal behind a closed door. But unfortunately, these things are out there in the public domain.
Right.
We need to be very careful because I personally think our president has opened up our country for personal attack by these mercenaries, these jihadists you are talking about, and all those stuff. Since he is talking and condemning the act of these people, I personally thought he would have, done this thing behind the closed door, behind the closed door, in camera, so that this thing will be discussed behind a closed door. But well, the mistake has already been committed. What I will urge is that the Ghana Security Agency need to be alert, need to set up 24/7, need to be alert and focus and make sure that we clamp down on any suspicious act on our borders. Let's increase the security on all the borders around us, but in Togo, in Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast, all the borders surrounding us. Let's increase our security. Let's increase the security over there and make sure that we are top on security issues in the country. And that's the only thing I can say. But it's unfortunate that the president has to goofed. In my opinion, he goofed. This is not where, or the platform that he made the statement was the wrong platform. You could have gotten a better platform to make his appeal, but whatever it is, it has happened already. We cannot cry over spilled milk. Let's move on as a country. Let's all come together and support the current administration with any security experts we have in our party. They should all come on board and let's work together to make sure that we protect our country from any attack from these jihadis and these mercenaries all over that has been high, that are trying to destabilize various countries around.
Well, it is not known that Russian mercenaries attack any country in the world.
Exactly. That is why
not
it's unfortunate. That's why it's unfortunate. That's why it's unfortunate.
No, I disagree. They are in Ukraine now,
not
employing
Russian
people from Africa.
The Russian military
They are
went to Ukraine.
No, listen to I will have the name for you.
There's a difference between mercenaries. There's a difference between mercenaries and the Russian government going to war.
Right.
In Ukraine, yes, we all know that the Russian government is going to war with the Ukrainians, which we all know. But mercenaries are not, under the supervision or direction of the Russian government. That's one thing.
Paul, I understand where I'm not disputing the differences. But these people, the Russians are vultures, for God's sake. I have to use this word.
I know you be careful what you say about
Russians. I am not.
I agree with your policies, but we want to be careful about what we say about them because, again, there's an argument to be made that they have the right to kind of get NATO out of their territory. The same way we are saying that, we have Russians on our northern border. Same way. They thought NATO was packing their nuclear weapons in the borders of Poland and Ukraine, and they needed to take action. So let's be careful what we say about the Russians.
I've read. When Assad was murdering his people using chemical weapon, the Russians sent in the military, or they send in this.
It was the Russian military. The Russian military
this is the people who work under them. They don't answer to anybody. Please listen to the news, even Fox News, of all people who support Russia in terms of this invasion. They are even saying it. It's all over the news that they have this missionary recruiting people, especially from the African side, the Sudanese and area, to come and fight. And these are people who are murdering people.
Do you know?
Do you
know the United States also have mercenaries?
Of course.
We have Blackwater. That we sent to go.
They have all that, but they are well.
Iraq, right? But have you seen Blackwater voluntarily attack a country without the country inviting them into it? Because these are commercial military. You don't pay them, they don't go. Have you seen that happen?
I understand where your point is from. So you said that why is the president intervening in another sovereignty? Remember, this is an ECOWAS. We cross borders, right? Burkina is just right by Paga. I ran that area for over 10 years. I know all the areas. It's right by Paga. And we crossing the border from Burkina to Paga. We just share. There's a community here, a community here. People can come in and do anything. So everything that concerns, remember, we are in the middle of all this. We are in the Togo, we are Abidjan, we are in Mali. We are the center of Africa. Everything goes through us. So anything that happens within our boundaries, we should be careful. Yes, you might say, oh, where the president, the foreign might not be good, but this is a closed door meeting and it's leaked. He was saying something that we could have a help in terms of safeguarding our communities. It's not just the Burkinabes, the Malians, and others, but the entire African continent of the West African coast is where we will have to be sure that the country is protected. We might be in a good shape in terms of democracy, but others don't. And whatever is spilled over there comes to us. Those people, when there's a
All
fight,
right.
they're coming to Ghana. When there's a fight in Abidjan, they're coming to Ghana. So just remember that.
Okay.
I'm not defending the
All right.
president in any shape or form in terms of how he said it, but I support the statement that he made.
Okay.
It's
So
not just because he's
let
my
me.
president.
I take your point on that. You support the statement of the president. I mean, let's go to. I told. Here's where we have not necessarily witnessed mercenaries of any that reside in any particular country attack another sovereign country for no reason. The only time mercenaries actually appear is one, the country itself is asking for the assistance in the case of Mali and Burkina Faso. Before they actually asked for the assistance of the Russian mercenaries, we had Islamic jihadis who were actually taking over these countries, spilling over, attacking villages, killing people, seizing mines, causing multiple coups d'etats within 1 year. It appears with the arrival of these mercenaries, this issue have actually ceased.
Alfred, I did not finish with
Occur.
my submission. I did not finish with my submission. And Kujo, this is jumped in.
Okay.
I
Okay,
apologize, Paul. I apologize.
So please keep the line of questions I'm asking you. We'll come back to while we hear Paul wrap up. Yeah, Paul.
So, I mean, I'm not surprised that the president is very much worried about these Russian mercenaries because he himself has involved himself into hiring mercenaries into Ghana to train him when he was in opposition. And he knows the consequences of mercenaries. Because of he hires mercenaries from South Africa to train his, his Delta forces and all those forces. He knows how dangerous mercenaries are. That is why he's raising concern. And there's a saying in our language that, when you throw a ball to hit the wall, it comes back to you. Because he has experience and he understands the operations of mercenaries. Because he himself has been involved in hiring mercenaries in Ghana when he was in opposition to come and train his Delta forces and then invisible forces and the vengeance and the danger they've caused to Ghana. That is why he's very much concerned. I am saying it's unfortunate for that statement to come out, that video to be leaked, but we are all learning a lesson from our president, and he's an expert who understands the operations of mercenaries. That's why he's very much concerned. This is a good opportunity for all of us to, take it very careful or think through this thing very carefully when we are doing something or involving ourselves into such, bilateral talks. I think it's unfortunate for the president to be, engaging in this thing. I just hope this video, that is whether leaked or it was intentionally put out there, I don't know which one I will say. I hope it will not destroy the bilateral, diplomatic discussion between Ghana and Burkina Faso.
Yeah, because if the United States has an issue with Russia, that's none of Ghana's business, to be honest, right?
Exactly. So I just hope this will not break the friendship between Ghana and Burkina Faso vis-a-vis Ghana and Russia. Because we cannot ride behind the USA people or the US people to be trying to sideline with them because they are having issues with Russia.
Right.
I think we are a sovereign country and we need to be respected as such. We need to take our own decision, not riding behind, the US. As much as it's unfortunate, and I'm saying that the president himself has caused this thing for himself. He's much worried because he knew all those South African mercenaries he brought to Ghana, what they came to do. That is why
that is a political angle that, of course, I don't think it's necessary for this discussions. But you brought it in. But let me switch over to my friend quickly on the other side, Mr. or Dr. Doc. Dr. Addo Kwamina. Doc, is this necessary? I personally don't see where it is important that our president, right, would think that something so far-fetched, there's no way mercenaries that he's identified, registered, Wagner, he called them. Dr. Addo is gone. Wagner, he called them. There is no way such a mercenary organization would all of a sudden infiltrate a country like Ghana when they were just paid to do job in Burkina Faso? And shouldn't we respect the right of Burkina Faso to fix their own problems, however they find fit? When was
Can
the
I
last
come
time?
in? Can I come
Dr.
in
To is
before
back.
Dr. To? Oh, Dr. To is back. We go ahead.
Yeah. So, Dr. To, is this right? Just go off for me and let me hear what you think about this.
So I didn't hear your question, but I was really surprised. I thought these were classified information that all of us should not be aware of.
Yeah.
So I was taken aback that this was out in the open like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the president thought he was sitting in a private meeting that he was discussing this, because it didn't appear it was a private meeting. So I was as shocked as everyone is that the president would go out there and discuss this. I mean, this is bad optics. This is going to create a lot of situations between us and our neighbors. I mean, there's an undeniable fact that these Russian mercenaries do exist. I mean, it's documented. I think they are called the Wagner forces. If Kodo DC was trying to get the name of this group.
Thank you very much. That's right,
Yeah,
Dr. To.
WAGNER. I mean, they've been across Africa. They've been even in places where they have been protecting the diamonds. I mean, and other people like the Malians have tried to invite them to fend off the ISIS. So we cannot discount that these Russian mercenaries are not around. If you think they're not around, then you don't know what the Russians.
But is there an issue of whether they are around? I guess the issue we are concerned about is, have they infiltrated into the territorial into the territories of other countries?
They have. It's documented. Oh no, they've been in Central Africa. I mean, I can send you
without an invitation. We're talking about mercenaries without invitation by
these are
the government.
I'm talking. Just Google Wagner forces. WAGNER.
Mm-hmm.
These are not soldiers. These are mercenaries. Russian mercenaries.
They have to be paid by somebody to do whatever work.
Yeah.
So unless somebody is in Ghana paying them, inviting them to come and destabilize Ghana, these are not forces that will come to Ghana for no reason. These people don't just go to countries.
They do. They've been to Mali. I'm telling you, they've been to Mali.
No, Mali government invited them to help them fight the jihadists. Yes. So them going to Mali wasn't because on their own volition they decided, oh, Mali would have been a nice country to attack. No, that was not the case.
I agree with you.
So I'm saying, under what circumstances will they come to Ghana if we don't invite them? If nobody invites them to Ghana, what other countries would these mercenaries go to without an invitation to solve a problem?
The question is, are you comfortable having Russian mercenaries at the border of Burkina Faso?
Okay, we do have. So Burkina Faso has a problem. Burkina Faso has been taken over by jihadists. Majority of their populations live under non-government authority. They live under the authority of separatists.
Yes.
And that has been destabilizing their country. They have a security concern. ECOWAS, which has a military arm of it, ECOMOG, was unable to help them solve this problem. Remember, ECOWAS was governed by what? Who? Akufo Addo for all this. These solutions, and we've discussed that on this program over time. His only solution is, if you have a coup d'etat and somebody take over, we are not talking to you until you become democratic. And I was on this program saying it doesn't make any sense. They may have a coup d'etat.
So my question is, are you comfortable having Russian mercenaries at the border of say?
In as much as I'm comfortable having black water in Russia, I'm in Iran. As far as I'm comfortable having Ukraine be occupied or Ukraine have NATO in their country, I'm comfortable with Russia mercenaries who have been asked by a sovereign country to come and assist them. It doesn't bother me in a bit. It shouldn't bother Ghana. Why should that bother Ghana? These are mercenaries who are paid to come and help a neighboring country solve their security problem, which you, Ghana, have not been able to solve, which you, ECOWAS, have not been able to solve for them. So why should I be worried that Burkina Faso is deploying policies that would assist them solve their, security issues? Why should that be a problem for us?
So you think hiring the services of mercenaries, you don't have any problem with that? So if a country, you live by a country that's hiring these are the military, these are mercenaries.
They're not hiring the mercenaries to come and attack your country. Is that what they are doing?
No, but you don't have any qualms or questions about mercenaries on the border.
So I guess my other question is, what is the alternative? The alternative is them having their country taken over by jihadis. Are we comfortable with that one?
No.
Who are the jihadis? Who are the jihadis? Are they Russians or they Africans?
They are Islamic terrorists who actually took over about 70% of Mali. 70% of Mali is now governed by the Malian government. That is why they find it necessary to go and get the Russians to come and help them. They brought the French. The French only help destabilize their country the more. I mean, we gotta have a clear perspective on this thing. The issue is Mali has the responsibility to its citizens to protect them. And Mali finds it necessary that if we don't have the adequacy of more military might to protect our people, let's go get mercenaries to do so, instead of allowing our country to be overtaken by jihadis. Are you not aware of the jihadis in Sahel?
No, but I'm telling you that mercenaries in Africa, there's documented evidence as to how they have destabilized, how they have affected the Muslim.
This particular mercenary is being asked by the Syrian government.
The use of landmines, body traps, and all these devices that they bring to these countries. I mean, you probably say that it's better than having jihadists in one part. But in this day, in situations with Russia-Ukraine war, nobody will feel comfortable having Russian mercenaries at the border.
No. Again, I believe we should separate Russian government's activities from what Russian mercenaries does, right? Just like Blackwater, wherever Blackwater goes and does whatever, should be separated from what the United States government's policy is. We should understand that. Those are two different things.
Why should we separate that?
It's not, Blackwater is not government's function. It's not a government institution.
So you believe that Russia
is a corporation.
They have no inclination towards Putin and the oligarchs.
But here's the thing. Why do we care if they have any influence? Do you know, even our government, Kwame Nkrumah, had dealings with Russia to help build our country.
That is true.
So why should I be worried about whatever relationships that Mali has?
No. Alfred, the situation is that we have a president who may have some information that we are not privy to, making these allegations. Okay.
Perfect.
So you and I over here may not know what is behind all.
I think
all
the president goofed pretty much, because again,
he goofed because this came out in the public.
Yeah,
but like you and I would not have that.
But even the logic of what he's saying, is completely, because again, I mean, the sort of help he's seeking for, it's not placed anywhere. The Russian government has not declared any. He's linking the mercenaries from Russia with the Russian government and insinuating that relationship is likely to destabilize Ghana, which is far-fetched.
There is a link. There's a link between the mercenaries and Germany. You cannot just say there's no link.
Did the Russian government destabilize Mali, or they stabilized it? If you put a link together, if you say the link between the mercenaries, there is a link between the mercenaries and the Russian government. Has the Russian government destabilized Mali and Burkina Faso, or destabilized it?
But that's not the only link that, see.
But they stabilized it, right? Instead of destabilizing it, they stabilized it. Let's be clear. Because otherwise, 70% of the country was being under the rule of the jihadis. They are fighting the jihadis and kicking them out.
No,
that's stability to the people.
Alfred, it's like you telling me you're going to give me 100 pieces of rice, right? But that means that you have to buy other things from me. It's like you help me, but there are other packs that you want from me. It's not as clear as you think as you make it seem so. It's not like that.
I don't know if I'm getting what I. Of course, I want what I want, right? Because my position is that this jihadists, when they took over places like Mali, they occupied the mines, they used the mines to support their terrorist activities, and those people have intent to actually go. Those are the ones we should be concerned about. We should be more concerned about the jihadists. The jihadism in Sahel was the biggest concern, which we believe ECOWAS should deal with, and ECOWAS was not successful dealing with that. We were seeing 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we're seeing 4, 5 coup d'etats in the countries that actually now went and get Wagner. And since they had Wagner, those things stopped. So how is it that our president? So where out does our president actually? What side is he on? Is he on the side of chaos in those countries, or he's on the side of stability in those countries?
What I'm saying is there may be some information that we are not privy to that the president is concerned about.
I don't. If you're not privy to it, then don't even mention it, because again, just by listening, none of us is privy to like the back discussions, but just what we heard from your, analysis.
I was surprised that the president would even go out and say that knowing other people were there.
Yeah,
it's supposed to be classified information. But again, I'm standing by the point that the president may be privy to information that we don't.
You're not allowed to think of what the president may know that you don't know. You don't know that. So
I've read. Let me.
The president may not know that information, so it's
you stop the propaganda. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Right. Let me ask you this question. Do you know missionaries are equally as jihadis? You know that, right?
No, they are not.
They are not. You know the atrocity of the killings. I think you have to go and study this I call them watchers. You and I don't know. Do you work for them or something? Because I would never be comfortable to have anything to come. No, I'm just saying for myself. I would draw that. Yes. Let me draw that. But let me say this. How would you be comfortable to have such people in your borders? And you're saying because they're in Burkina, you don't care? When they are just right by your border,
no,
when you can just walk.
I wish you had the same energy to discuss the presence of jihadis destabilizing Burkina and causing them to have 4 different.
Of course, people all condemned it.
You saw that Akufo condemn any of this stuff. He said he's not talking to the Burkina government.
Why do we have to do everything? Why do we have to do?
I don't care about you. You.
No. You're doing like whatever the president says because you disagree, or you. I won't say you don't like him. It's not somebody that you think he says the truth to you. So even when they are bringing something which is of importance, based on that, you made your judgment. I will support the Wagners instead of we making a statement and finding a solution to something. They said this, that's what we have to think about. Today is the Akufo. 2 years he will be gone. We'll see somebody coming in when he attacks you, and then we'll hear what you say. But for me, the fact that is a country Ghana, which I love.
My thing is if who attack you? Mercenaries?
Same. Let me ask you a question. That's a very gentleman. Hold on, the gentleman that they put a chemical something on in London, what's the name? Dr. To remember the Russian guy. Was it? Did they invite the British invited him, those people to come and kill that man over there?
The Russian government doing Russian business. You want to talk about what the U.S. business?
Don't worry.
We can't take stand. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying we cannot take stand.
Don't worry. I'll not even say anything on this one again. Alfred, no.
Even in Europe, right? The Europeans are even worried about even Russian mercenaries in other countries. I mean, this is documented. I can send you articles about this.
Yeah, I think you have to find out. Then you will be open-minded.
You are the only one who are not worried about the mercenaries in Africa. Even the Europeans are worried about Russia because of
I mean, should we in Ghana care about what Europeans are worried about?
Of course.
Really?
Everything is intertwined. It's a global world. Alfred.
All right, let me play you this video. Let me play you this video, and then we can come back and talk quickly about this one. Okay, hold on. This is gonna be from Paul Kagame. I know you've seen this on our show, on our platform. Paul Kagame here is actually addressing the fact that, we African presidents, we need to talk to each other. We need to talk to each other and resolve the issues we have, rather than going overseas and
African leaders we don't need to be invited anywhere to go and address our problems without first inviting ourselves to come together to tell each other the actual truth that we must tell each other about our serious problems. For me, when I'm watching on television and I find our leaders who should have been working together all along to address these problems that commonly affect their countries, wait until they are invited to go to Europe to sit there and just, it's like they are made to sit down and address their problems. Why does anybody wait for that? What image does it even give about us, about Africa? In fact, the image it gives is that we are not there to even address these problems. We are there for a photo opportunity. We are happy to sit there in Paris with the president of France and address and just talk about addressing problems. It doesn't make sense that our leaders cannot get themselves together to address problems affecting our people. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't really make sense that the president of Ghana could not sit down with the president of Burkina Faso and Mali to address their jihadist problems. It does not make sense that he has to come to the United States and talk about Wagner. It is even at this point, my understanding is that the ambassador in Mali or whatever is being called to come and answer questions in those countries. Why is Akufo looking for opportunities to be a showboy? That's my question. And then I guess I'll give you that, Kojo, and then Paul, so you can come in as well.
I don't see the argument here, right? For the fact that the president, I agree with Paul Gigali. You have always, you know, the way my stand when it comes to the Africanism in terms of
you agree with him on what basis?
On African leaders coming to America, Europe, and have African summit. Why is this up to?
And pretend you're solving problems.
No. Hold
because
on.
This problem existed when Akufo Addo was the chairman.
You ask me a question.
I'm just trying to kind of
Alfred, no, you're not helping me anywhere. You don't decide what I say, right? I decide what I have to say.
Well,
so, you ask the question.
The facts.
No, I don't care about that. You see, you're not in my mind. You don't know what I'm about to say. So you have to let me learn in a certain way. Listen, I agree with him in terms of why do we have to have an African summit in America? It doesn't make sense. Secondly, I agree with Paul, and I've always cited him as example as one of the best leaders I like in this in Africa, in the continent of Africa, because there are things that we do in Africa that doesn't make sense as most of the African countries, right? So I agree with him in that. When we want to solve problems, we can solve those problems within ourselves. But listen, the greed within the African itself, the continent itself, we are not able to sit down and resolve things among ourselves. Every time and when one side is ready to solve problems, the same within the same country, there's opposition to whatever because somebody is pushing them around. So until we African, as Bob Marley said, are united.
Are you saying that because somebody's trying to solve a problem, there shouldn't be any opposition?
I'm not saying that, but
that's
the opposition. Because yes, when we are solving a problem of
doesn't
if I'm trying to build a better schools, better hospital, better roads, better jobs, and you're opposing because of your selfish interest,
we are opposing it because we don't think is what you're trying to do is better. There are other
What is your alternative? What is your alternative?
Well, so that is why you should.
So you are telling me that
But again, let's not distract you.
No,
I'm just
no,
saying
no.
that
You are bringing it. You are telling me that if I'm building a school, it's wrong for me to be a school. You are telling me that it's better, it's wrong for me to build a hospital. Is that what you're saying?
The manner in which you're building a school, if you're using unnecessary funding, for instance, if you don't have the funds and you're using unnecessary funding that could have gone into other things to build schools, then
is any government, let me ask you, is any government in government to make profit or to help the people? Do you have any government that makes profit?
So I like I said, I hate that I distracted you.
Those investment of building schools, building the good roads are investment for a long term. It's a development of the continent.
Let's move on from the school and just concentrate on Papa Kagame and why you liked him. And
no. Then I just agree with him for what he said in terms of we're sitting down in Africa and then flew a plane, bring this entourage with you and come and sit in America and spend money in America. Those money could have been spent in Africa. We could have made more money in terms of our GDP growing up because the American plane will land in Accra where we have African Trade Center where it is there. We could build those things there. So I agree with you.
Apply this to what we are discussing where Akufo Addo went to the United States to make those comments about Mali, please.
Comments about Mali about what? You're talking about the coup d'etat thing? The missionary thing you're talking about?
Exactly. I want you to be able to apply.
Yeah, but I'm applying it.
And what Pokagali said, if you can apply that to the situation.
Hold on. Let me ask you a question. Is the president of Mali, is he elected by the people or he came? Yes, he did it. No, he's not.
We dealt with that issue. Rollins was not legitimate.
No. Yeah, you know, when you started, I told you the kind of transition we've made as an African continent. That ECOWAS most of the time that
let's concentrate on ECOWAS. ECOWAS does not recognize
exactly. So if somebody who is not legitimate,
member of ECOWAS or not, there was no criteria for being democratic in order to be part of ECOWAS. So I'm saying to you, right, that even ourselves, whether we made transition or we didn't make transition, at some point, even as undemocratic as we were, we led ECOWAS and we led ECOWAS to solve other countries' problems. We didn't go to America to talk about those other countries' problems. We actually form a military wing of ECOWAS to stabilize those countries.
So yeah, you are taking us back. You are taking us back.
No, it falls within what Pokagali is saying. What Pokagali is saying.
No, it doesn't.
In our own country. I mean,
it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't at all.
The analogy is Pokagali is saying you don't want to go. Going to Europe and then trying to talk about a problem shouldn't be the way we develop our continent. You have a problem with your neighbors of them having whatever. Talk to them. You have diplomatic missions over there. Resolve the issue. Don't come to the United States and be like, we don't even have a mercenary problem in Ghana. You are asking for support for the United States. For what? For what?
You have to wait so the fire come to your house before you can. There's no proactive anywhere. Is that what you're saying? You just have to sit down aloof, and then the thing will drive fast you are. Then you say, "Oh, the president should have known better." Is that all that we can think of without thinking about? We are not planning ahead. We just have to think about today, not tomorrow, right? We just have to live like that, autopiloting. We are moving, and when it comes, then we solve it, or we'll solve things before those things happens to us. When they are right in your neighbor, when they can just cross and come. And
what
when
is
they
in
have
our neighbor?
respect.
There was jihadists in our neighbor. We didn't solve that one. Why didn't we solve the jihadism? I mean, think about it. The mercenaries, I'm saying, they are registered.
I don't have anything to say on. I don't have anything to say on it. Because
your argument is based on your alienation.
You're not making sense at all. You're not making sense at all in terms of why when somebody was in Boko Haram. Listen, Boko Haram. Which part of Boko Haram were these people destroying? It was just about 5% of the population of the entire Nigerian prison. And are they affecting Ghana? They are fighting their own people based on something. And this is a foreigner coming to somebody's country. And because we are speaking against illegal occupation of a country or trying to occupy, which they've been flooded, we thought this war was going to be like 3 days. Now it's 9 months. They are even running away. And you're supporting them. And it seems like it's good for Wagners to be in our borders. I don't know why.
Here's where you got it wrong. We are not, the mercenaries we are talking about did not invade any country. They were invited by the government of the country to help them fight jihadists like Boko Haram in Nigeria. If Nigeria went and asked the US Blackwater to come and help them fight black jihadists, are we going to go to Russia and say, oh, by the way, Blackwater is in Nigeria is now fighting, and we don't understand that the United States will send its mercenaries to Nigeria to help them? That is the situation. The situation here is that these mercenaries are actually helping a sovereign government resolve its military issues.
I am surprised.
The issue they are resolving is invasion by Islamics who are
I am surprised.
Illegal.
The fact of the matter, the fact that you are even accepting a missionaries, even baffles me. I don't understand. Yeah, that's what you're accepting it. Yes,
I don't. Option is jihadism.
Yeah, but you are accepting that they are doing good. Do you know? Can you? Let me ask you a quick question. Let me ask you. Let me ask you now. Me accepting. Me. Have you asked here anything of me accepting that? I have condemned it. I hate anything.
Do nothing. I mean, that's what your president has been doing. He condemns it. He doesn't want to talk to them after they kind of caused the multiple coups, and doesn't want to do anything about it.
President Nanado is the president of the entire African continent, right?
He was the chairman of ECOWAS. Under him, we had 5 different coup d'etats in the West African community, and he has done nothing about it. So the people who have decided to do something about it.
What could have been done? Well, ask me. Give me one example. Give me one.
Remind of what Rollins did with ECOWAS to stabilize Liberia. That's what he could have done about it, but he has not. Anyway, let me move on to somebody else, and then we can continue the conversation. Paul Disoso, you are back.
But before that, if you can allow me, I'm surprised today you and Kojo DC. This is not like him. Today, I don't know why you guys.
I mean, Kojo DC is making an argument based on the fact that he has an affiliation with the MPP. He's not making sense. He's not thinking through the problem. And here's why: because we had jihadism that was destabilizing the country. They occupy 70% of the country. That country's presidents made a sovereign decision to bring other people to come and help him solve his problem. Our president is there complaining. Our president was in charge of ECOWAS. He could have helped. He didn't help. So why should we now be, you are here defending that president. And I'm telling you that Paul Kagame is saying that you have a problem with other African countries, solve it internally. Don't go to America and be kind of talking down to other people. That's simple.
But my point is,
you're making your politics blind to you. You're not thinking beyond the politics of what you think of the president, and everything is just blended into politics. So whatever the president have said, you don't even have a fact. You say he's not privy to anything. You don't have any information at all, as even into the security of our country, more or less the ECOWAS. Remember, he was the chairman of the ECOWAS. He's privy. You don't have. No, I don't. No, but that's why I gave him that.
When you say privy, do you have privy? You don't, right? You don't know what the president knows. So don't I. I also don't know that. So I don't expect you to make an argument.
Why are you disagreeing that he doesn't have any? Why are you saying that? So why are you? No, do we come to the show to speak what you think? Or we come here to bring our own divergent ideas as to discuss issues?
Bring your divergent ideas. Should I agree with you?
I don't think so. No, so why are you saying that? So if you don't, why are you saying that the president is not?
With what you think? No. Is that not part of the show?
Don't worry about it. I don't think I'm good for the show.
You disagree with what I think. I disagree with what you think. Hey, could just go. Good. Ghana Cedis is moving forward. Anyway, Addo, go ahead.
I don't want to.
Could you don't have the patience and then the tenacity to take divergent opinions?
No, he doesn't. He thinks he's maybe he shuts people off his show back in the days and take them off. But I wouldn't do that. I would disagree with you and strongly. So I guess I don't know.
That's unfortunate. But anyway, just as you said, I mean, I personally think our president goofed, and I think the best thing he should have, if you have even any concern, nothing stopped him from calling his fellow African leaders for them to discuss the issue. Coming to the US, Washington, D.C. to come and discuss with the US government, I don't know what he intended or to achieve. Or I don't know what was the purpose for me. One thing I could say is that I mean, he's saying this thing so that, I mean, this IMF deal will be looking to for him. He's doing everything possible to look, I mean, good or to seek sympathy from the eyes of the US government in connection with this IMF deal, which, my opinion, that's what I'll conclude to say. But as it may be, I mean, it's unfortunate. And for that, I mean, bilateral discussion, which is a top-notch secret, to be out in the public domain. And as I stated earlier on, I mean, let's all work together. Let's support this government. Let's increase our security on our borders, because now we've opened ourselves up for any possible attack. That's what I would just end to say. Thank you.
Yeah, for the statements he made, of course, now you're inviting trouble that we didn't have before. But anyway, Addo, you were going to say something.
Yeah, so I agree that the president moved because of what he may have heard. You may disagree with me, but he moved because this was supposed to be classified information that came out that is not good for any country. The optics are not good. Right now we have our neighbors really mad at that because we put them on the map like that. But like I agree with Kojo in the sense that we don't know what the president is privy to, so we cannot just brush it off.
But I'm saying that we are having these discussions not knowing what the president knows. So as much as you don't know what the president knows, I also don't know what the president knows, but I can have an argument based on the unknown. Even just so we are looking at what we heard on the surface, right? And what we heard on the surface is that the president is questioning the sovereign decision of another country. And we are saying that, okay,
not entirely. Not entirely. I mean, you can make inferences about that because of what he said is questioning the sovereignty of the decisions of another country. But like I said, you don't want to discuss your unknowns. But I want to go over there.
We don't know. You want to go there. What do you know that you want to tell us?
But
so then why are you interested in what you don't know?
I wanted to go over there because I don't know what the president knows. I don't want to discredit that as, oh, this is nonsense or this is nothing. He shouldn't have done that. But he should not have discussed that in the open like that. I don't think that this is a discussion that you do in the open. And it was so weird, like, because it wasn't like the only person around. There were other presidents or other people around. So that did, but
no, he was just meeting with the State Department, and so he had a Secretary of State there with his people, his team, and the president also had him. He saw the president himself.
Yeah, but on camera, it wasn't like it was a closed door meeting where he had this.
Well, whether the president knows, because again, this tape, we don't know if it is, one of the things we don't know is whether it's put there out, if it is put out intentionally, or if the tape was leaked, right? If somebody recorded without his knowledge. But
now,
even if
then it wasn't a closed door meeting. That's my point. If
it was
meeting,
put there,
there are no cameras.
If it wasn't a closed door meeting, then we should even be more concerned that our president is not able to hold himself.
That is my concern, that the president will discuss this in the open like that. But I'm not going to question the president. Doing this.
The second aspect of you not questioning the president, that issue is that, okay, Addo, let's think about this thing, right? You had jihadis destabilizing the country, okay? Taking 70% of the country, seizing their gold mines, and we know the jihadis, let's call them bad people. Since these guys since the current government of the country went and got the mercenaries, they've stopped the jihadis' progress in completely taking over their country. They've stopped the frequent coup d'etats that we've been seeing, right? And those jihadis have not, those mercenaries have not been known to attack any other country that you can actually claim of right now. So
no. See, that's why I disagree with you, brother.
The mercenaries, like, I want you to give me an example of a country.
Mercenaries are an appendage of the Kremlin. So if you're saying
you don't know that, you do not know that.
Why would you say I don't know that?
What fact do you have?
Oh, so you don't know the appendage of Kremlin? You don't know that?
I'm supposed to assume that, or have facts to support it.
Come on.
You're assuming it. You don't have any facts. Because when I ask for facts, you are telling me what do I know.
I mean, I'll be a kid not to think that these mercenaries are not an
okay, you are not a kid. You are an adult. Give me some facts to support that.
Oh, God. Okay, I can give you a fact. there's a country in Africa that invited the mercenaries to invited, yes.
Keyword.
Invited to fight the jihadists. I can say that for you. You know what happened after that? When those issues were solved?
What happened?
The president went to Kremlin to thank the Kremlin for whatever he did. So there's no, it's not an appendage.
So are we inviting?
No, it's not an appendage.
No. I mean, here's what I need you to kind of connect the dots on these things, right? Our president is complaining that the fact that Russians are on our border poses a security threat to us. Are we inviting the mercenaries to our country? Are you telling me that the mercenaries went to another country in Africa and helped those countries solve their problems, and then they invaded another neighboring country? That would have made a case for what the president is saying. But if you're not giving me that example, you don't have a point.
No, if you agree with me that right now Russia is a threat to other countries. Do you agree with me? Like, do you agree?
I don't see that. I don't see where Russia.
You don't see that.
I don't like getting into the United States policies, but when you put a NATO on Russia's border, just like we are complaining that there is somebody on our border that we are worried about, when you put a NATO on their border, maybe they have every right to fight for their own themselves. So you see,
the same argument applies to
have the conclusion that no. Hold on, let me finish.
The same argument applies to that.
You say Russia is a threat to other countries. I don't see that. Where does Russia have a problem with other countries that you are concluding? Where? You
see NATO as a threat to Russia.
Yeah, if you put, remember when Russia put their army and put bombs in Cuba, we were worried. We were worried.
Yeah, but you got them out. No, you see, that's the double standard you're talking about.
We actually went and took part of Guantanamo, which belonged to Cuba, to put our station over there. Didn't we do that? Yeah. So again, if Russia is doing the same to Ukraine, I don't see that being Russia.
What you're doing is, if you're doing a comparative analysis, then you will never get anything right. So if I did B A to Paul and I did B to you, and they say, oh, what did you need to be? What was it? If you compare,
I don't necessarily think that even the United States has the authority to actually tell Russia what to do or what not to do. Neither does Russia have the authority. Here's where Russia didn't just tell Burkina Faso that, hey, I'm bringing missionaries to you.
No, but you are saying that NATO being on the borders of Russia is a threat to them, right?
Yeah, that's what they think.
Yeah, no. Is that yes or no? Is that right?
Yeah, but that's hear me out.
This is a very simple question. Is NATO being at the borders of Russia a threat to them or no?
Okay, and I'm telling you that, right? That is the Russian government's position. Okay, in this particular case, we are not saying that Russian military is at the border of Ghana. We are saying Russian mercenary.
An appendage of the Kremlin.
No. That connection you are drawing is not fact. It's not fact-based, because the Russian mercenaries are incorporated organization. They are not a governmental organization. It's not a government military. I need you to separate those things. If you want to draw those conclusions, you have to have a fact. Just drawing those conclusions based on some broad brush or your intuition, it doesn't make any sense.
I will be a kid to not think that the mercenary.
But if you're an adult, so I need you to give me evidence. Only please don't have evidence. It's not I don't have evidence.
I'm telling you, some of these countries, when they succeed in fighting jihadists, go pay homage to the Kremlin.
Well, I'm not privy to that kind of information, so I don't know. Anyway.
Sorry? And I can show you evidence of that. I mean, let's put this aside and move on. We can agree to disagree. I don't want to get off your platform like my brother did, which was unfortunate. I hope later you guys can put the difference aside and go on. I am sad the president went out there to cut out in the open, but I will not be a kid to stand over here and say there's nothing. If I agree that NATO being on somebody's border is a threat, I agree that having Russian mercenaries in our border.
I think the president was panning for attention because, again, when we had the jihadis taking 70% of those countries, and these jihadis could easily destabilize Ghana, those were our concern. Jihadism in Sahel was the problem.
But then you cannot tell me that he didn't do anything about it because you didn't know.
What did he do? I mean, you and I are here. You don't know. So if you don't know, why are you putting your mouth? You should be quiet about it. Now, here's the thing: our president, what we see visibly he doing is that as a president or as a chairperson of ECOWAS, he told those countries that had multiple coup d'etats that if you don't switch over to democracy, you don't talk to ECOWAS. He repeated that even on this tape. I can play it over. That one of the actions he took is because they are not democratic, and therefore, I mean, democracy is that a requirement to be part of ECOWAS? Matter of fact, Paul Kagame was telling all of us that
I think it should be. I think it should be. You don't think democracy should be part of the democracy for being ECOWAS? You don't think so?
Say that again?
You don't think democracy should be a requisite for being part of
not necessarily. What the sovereign people of a country chooses to be their governance system does not determine whether they are part of the ECOWAS or the West Africa economic system. It shouldn't.
There got to be rules for every.
There
are requisite rules for every organization. If you cannot just tell me that no, you being that means
Ghana has been part of ECOWAS for how many years when Rawlings was president?
But I'm saying that if they are new, see, that's why you do comparative. We cannot get anywhere with that kind of argument. If you're doing comparative analysis, we cannot get anywhere if that's the mindset that we have to compare A to B all the time. Let's discuss A as it is, and then move on. But if you try to always return to the histories to look at, then we will think that the current situation is the best. But you cannot do that in situations like this. Let's look at the situation holistically and start this comparative analysis. It won't help us. But again, like I said, I can agree to disagree with you, my brother.
All right, sounds good. All right. Oh, we have Lifetime Legacy joining, but I don't think we'll get him on this topic. Lifetime Legacy, let's take you on to the NDC issue, for which I would like to take a quick break. When I come back, we're going to discussing what is happening within the NDC. I don't know if there's a clear declaration of chairman yet, but we know there's been some fights behind the scene. Let's come back and talk about this. We'll be right back.
Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. If you are 65 years and older, there's one thing we can all agree on. Your health and well-being is important. Whether you are a recent green card holder or retiree, asylee or without paper, you're now eligible for the Illinois Medicaid Health Insurance Program. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, WhatsApp, SMS IL65 to 773-420-8976. Documents needed to apply: your proof of ID, your proof of address, and your proof of income.
All right, first let's look at the Ghana Cedis.
Director of IT, na enche na omo wi presidential primaries. Ni ehuru the open flag bearer, because the open flag bearer on only elections. And I had to call for him. In TSS, or have we say in who becomes director of IT and director of Julius Ukasawi Prophecy. Okasa no Akasatia. President
African leaders, we don't need to be
sorry about that. Sorry about that. Let's go back to General Mosquito.
Your continent Banumi and Sana or no Baby leader. Now, Satam Yati will be or no one leader until we to me the open. Into Muhammad to me stop him. Satam Muhammad, ordinary party member. And now, at the confusion see meeting. It meeting no chair between Mahama faction and Ampofu faction. Until we na meet Odina, a fee, him say, one Kasa Kakre, Bekofa, na fee.
All right, so okay, so I guess what we are hearing from the General Secretary of NDC there was that at some point in 2020 or so, before the 2020 election, they had to do nominations for various offices within the party. And the suggestion was made that at least two of such positions were reserved, one for the campaign, whatever director of campaigns, and one for director of IT, who would be doing the coalitions, because the candidates would be the ones who the election would, or whoever is the candidate, that person will own the election. So it's appropriate for that person to do the selection of those key positions. And the fact that they didn't have the candidate at that point, that they should wait until they search a candidate. And this was a demand that was made from John Dramani Mahama. And Chairman Akufo refused that suggestion because he felt like in the absence of a presidential candidate, he is leader of the party and he can make those decisions. There's no knowing that Mahama would be the one to win or not. So it shouldn't be that they leave those things to Mahama. And as a result, that meeting split into two. There was a faction that was a Mahama faction, and there was a faction that was Paul Ampofo faction. There was all kinds of other accusations. But let me start this thing from Lifetime Legacies. You're just joining, so I would like to hear your voice first on this thing. Isn't it accurate that without necessarily knowing who the presidential candidate is, that there's a leader and that leader should be making decisions? Because the NDC is fond of declaring that Mahama is wherever, when there was no contest to declare that Mahama is really the presidential candidate or the leader. In the meantime, we have leader. Why do we do these things? To kind of frustrate the positions that we have given to people to lead the party in the absence of a presidential candidate?
Thank you, Alfred. Good afternoon to our listeners and viewers everywhere they find themselves. And good afternoon to Dr. Addo. He's looking so great this afternoon. I don't know who the fourth person is.
That's Paul Isoso.
Oh, okay. Senior comrade. Good afternoon also to everybody. I have been in the center of decision making in running political campaign before, and I know what the conflict that comes between a parliamentary candidate and a constituency chairman, and also a flag bearer and then a chairman of a political party.
Okay.
I have been in a serious meeting before with some of these things, so I know what goes into that transition. Normally, like what the general said wasn't a bad idea. That normally the candidates, I will use the candidate as in presidential candidate or parliamentary candidate. So if you hear me using the word candidate, it can be in terms of parliamentary candidate or presidential candidate, because similar situation applies to both. So if I use the word candidate, I'm referring to both parliamentary candidates and then presidential.
Just restricted to presidential right now, because parliamentaries don't usually choose their director of election and their own director of IT. So let's just focus on the specific allegations that has been put in the public domain.
Okay, I'm saying this because it's the same situation at the constituency level. So that is what I'm saying. But like you said, I'm going to restrict myself to the presidential aspect. Alfred, I think if there was just suggestion in that meeting where the president or the presidential candidate to be which we all know or knew at that time that he will be the presidential candidate, and which we all know for now again, going forward, that he'll still be the presidential candidate for the party. If he make that request, for me, I don't see it as anything outrageous. I don't see it to
How
be
do you know? How do you know who's going to be the presidential candidate when there's not a single vote cast yet?
Average. Before by 2018, every single person knows that our next presidential candidate is going to be John Mahama. Everybody knows.
How?
Everybody knows.
How?
During the reconciliation or the fight, the constitutional fight finding, when if you were somebody who were monitoring events at that time, it was clear. Everybody knew that.
I guess my issue is: do you see how undemocratic this is for somebody to be already presumed to be a nominee way before a single vote is cast? Don't you think that is quite undemocratic of Democratic Party?
If you describe it as undemocratic, there is you are indirectly referring all the rank and file members of the NDC as undemocratic, which I will strongly disagree with you.
No, I'm referring to a general secretary in the position of a party leadership, somebody who's leading a party, including somebody who, matter of fact, is not even a candidate, then making a decision for the party hierarchy. Because at the time Mahama is making this request that I need 2 positions reserved for me, he was not yet elected as the presidential. He's trying to say that, what if the other campaigns are saying, okay, also reserve 2 positions for me and all that. But I'm saying that you can see how undemocratic that is. There's no telling that a scandal may break a day before the election and Mahama may now win. There's no telling that. So, yeah.
Alfred, election, a whole lot of things. Election is not an event. It's a process. A whole lot of things goes into election. So if you know, or everybody prior to 2019 or after 2020, by 2017, knew that Mahama is going to be the candidate for 2020. Let me ask this question. Can any of us on this platform tell us that after 2020 election, nobody knew Mahama was going to be the candidate for 2024?
I don't know.
Okay.
That's only you saying that now.
So I can tell you on authority, right after
has he even declared his candidacy yet? We don't.
Alfred, we don't need a rocket science to know that the man have unfinished business. I am one of the people who is of opinion that looking at where we find ourselves as a party, for the party to continue to have the man's blessing. Okay, we've lost AJ Rollins, we've lost Ramos, we've lost Mr. Atta. He is the only soul of the party now.
What are you saying to all the other candidates who are interested in the position? They should just forget it, because I think the decision is already made.
NDC have a way of doing things. NDC,
I need you to answer my question. I'm saying, what should we say to the Komla Dufour and all these other people who are also interested in running for the candidacy position? Should they just forget it because the determination is already made, or it's already known?
Alfred, Komla Dufour should come next 4 years after Mahama. Some of us will support you.
Undemocratic. Very undemocratic. Very undemocratic.
It's a democratic process. You see, let me tell you something. There was a time I was aspiring for a particular position. I have the current, but then I was becoming, if I had won that election, or if I persist to contest for that election, I would have become a secretary to the current MP for Addo, who is deputy minority chief whip in parliament. But there was an elderly person who is equally interested in that position. The deputy minority chief whip currently, who was then the person who I was coming to be a secretary for, want me to be her secretary. Okay? But when I look at the situation, I know that this person, by virtue of respect, let me step down for the person. And I allow the person to be the the current deputy minority chief whip, secretary at that time. You get it? Can you describe this as undemocratic? No. It's a decent. When you look at the principle and the way of the party way of doing things from 1992, that we haven't deviated from anything. We are not introducing anything new. You get it? We are not introducing anything new. Any single candidate who will emerge after Mahama will come and campaign on the legacy of Mahama. As long as Mahama is alive and he has unfinished business, all of us, if we have to squeeze our blood for him to succeed the 4 years, to give the party the fatherly blessing that the party needs, we all do it. That is what every single NDC member, from the grassroots, from the branch level, all the way to the national level, is looking at. Nobody is singing a different song. When you go to every over 30,000, 35,000 branches, everybody is singing that song. Can you conclude by describing this as undemocratic? No. You get it. We want the blessing of the man. And the only way we can get that blessing adequately, he should serve his 8 years term. He should make that history. He's going to be the only person who, when he wins, will become a president who will live for more than 8 years, or who will be on the throne for more than 8 years. You get what I mean? So until then, every single person should wait until the man is successful.
All right, Mr. King of the Democrat, king of your own democracy. I think you are kind of rewriting the rules. Now, let me just
rewriting the ruls.
I think I understand your position on this.
If that convention is bad, why didn't somebody contested the Akufo prior to 2020 election?
Well, you know, the incumbent. If nobody wants to do, okay, so you're asking. So you're asking a question that should be answered. The fact that nobody decided to contest him cannot be likened with the fact that other people decide to contest this candidate. But there is already a presumption.
If Alan Chamati had opportunity 2020 to contest a Akufo, okay, he will do it. If that
let me. I think I get your position on this thing. Paul is leaving very soon with us. There is a matter that his name came up in, and Addo was kind enough to bless us with the video of that. So what I'd like to do is to bring that up. What I mean here is, Paul Isosu, you've made a comment with regards to the youth election, and the winner of that election actually took you on. I don't know if you think he misunderstood you, or if there's any response you would like to provide for what he said. Let's listen to the tape and then we'll come to you.
As much as George has every right to talk about his achievement and his victory, I'll appeal to him to be measured in his utterances and personal attacks on some of the party officials, especially Sami Jemfi. Let him be reminded that we need everyone on board for the big task ahead of us. I'll urge him to calm down and rather be open to work with all who either supported him or were against him. It's unfortunate for him to be talking like this after his victory. What we all expect from him is to be speaking about reconciliation. His line of talk is unhealthy for the peace and unity we are looking for ahead of 2024. Congrats to him, but his attacks at this moment are not good for the party unity. Thanks, Paul de Suso.
Paul said, not to Ghana, so not to Massachusetts. In the run-up to the elections, I'm just a national youth organizer and he attacked me. And I want Kasa. I said, I'm in pet. When you are calling a spade, call it a spade and don't call it a big fork. So I say, I win out to Krumu and unnecessary attacks were launched on my personality. Intro after intro, and none of them found their voices. I only decided to talk yesterday. What it has my responding to one litigation, and not probably responding anyway. They've all found their voices.
Paul, so your name has been mentioned because you made comments, and your comments were read out. You are alluding to the fact that, yeah, congratulations to Opari, in this case Pablo, for winning, but his comments or his appearances so far has been disturbing to you. And he's saying that people like you didn't talk when others were attacking him. Now you found your voice. What do you have to say to that? Do you think he misunderstood you, or do you have a response?
Thank you, Mr. Amuzu. And unfortunately, Opare Addo has shown he's immature, he's uncultured, and he's not fit for the job he has been given. Why am I saying so?
He said he has made the youth arm of NDC very attractive over the last 4 years. How could you even
I'm saying he's uncultured. I'm saying he's uncultured, he's immature because of his actions and inactions during, before, and after the election.
Okay,
look,
explain.
As a person, for now, you cannot even say he's the winner because the other contestant, Broja Jimfi, has gone to court, and court has issued a sermon that he cannot be declared as the winner until they go into the case. So let's put that aside. I was expecting him as a leader coming out of election whereby there was violence. I was expecting him to bring people together. The tone and the action he was taking, whereby he was moving from one radio station to other, attacking people, attacking big senior comrades in the party, Julius Debra and co., was unhealthy for the party. Elections are fought on the ground. Whatever happened on the ground, you leave it there, you move on. Do you think I don't have issues about these US elections? I have a lot of issues about it. And you know, and I've discussed behind closed doors with you, but I will not come out publicly and come and watch our dating lane outside. What he was doing shows that he's not matured. What he's doing shows that he's not a politician. Once that somebody is supporting another candidate, then the person becomes his enemy. Is that how politics is supposed to be played? And
yeah, he made accusations that somebody like, I think he said he was not even running against Broja Jemfi, to be honest, that the run was against Sami Jemfi. Sami Jemfi, because Sami Jemfi publicly took over Broja Jemfi's campaign and run it himself. He accused Sami Jemfi of amassing wealth to where he has a mansion in Legon.
All the things he said about Sami Jemfi were lies. That he has a house in Airport Hills, they were all lies.
But Sami Jemfi didn't answer that question, right? He just said God blessed him and all the other things he said. There was no specific answer as to whether he actually owned the mansion or not.
I am telling you, they are all lies. He said he has.
If they are all lies, are you saying Sami Jemfi doesn't own a mansion in Airport Hills?
He has not. He's not owning a mansion over there. That's
how do you know this information?
And he said Sami Jemfi has come out to speak.
He didn't say he did not own a mansion in Airport.
He said he doesn't own a mansion over there. He said it.
No, he didn't say that. He said if
on Captain Smart show.
He said he's praying for that. If somebody says that, he receive it. I wish I could play the tape to you, but he said he received it. It's a blessing. Somebody's.
I am telling you, he stated that the mansion that was shown is not his.
Denied the allegation.
He stated that the mansion showing is not his mansion. He said it, and he said he has 6 V8, 6 Land Cruisers, and he said it's a lie. It's only one Land Cruiser that he has. So I'm not talking about Sami Jemfi. The issue over here is
what
you have been elected as a leader, and now I don't think I would say he has been elected. Okay, I will not say he has been elected because the issue is in court.
Because he said no. Because he okay. So the allegations were that there were 22 people that were disenfranchised. There were 11 people that were misenfranchised. In other words, they were given the authority to vote, but the gap between him and
so the case
again, those are inferences. There's no facts. Like, I mean, I'm not a judge.
The court
only granted a temporary restraining order.
Exactly, a restraining order for him to be declared as the winner of the.
No. Paul, you have to understand what the court did here. The court gave a temporary restraining order, which is something a hearing in ex parte. That means that Opare was not present when that order was given, and that order only lasts for 14 days. You cannot give a temporary restraining order more than 14 days. You have to, if Opare appears and petitions to be heard in 2 days, he has to be heard. Opare hasn't been heard on that issue. So he could say that, well, the reason he was getting that restraining order is because his interests will not be appropriately protected if that inauguration takes place. So he's right to ask that, but it's only valid for 14 days. So there's not a determination of the factual issues. What was happening is that to stop injustice from happening. That's all.
Alfred, I don't know where you are coming from. I'm telling you that Opare Addo will not be inaugurated into office today. He will not, because the court has stated that he cannot be inaugurated into office until the case is dealt with. Whether the ex-party motion is 14 days or whatever it is not the issue here. The court has given a SEM as petition, or the court has directed the EC, the NDC, that they cannot swear him into office this evening after they finish with the election this evening.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that,
but it doesn't necessarily mean that the election was not accurate, right?
I'm not saying that the election back, they're going to go into it. They go to the nitty-gritty of it. That's another issue. I'm saying that for him coming out of election and you winning with almost, is it 19 vote difference or 21 vote difference?
39.
And 39 vote difference. And this time that you'll be preaching unity, bringing people together, you are rather on radio station throwing tantrums left, right, center, forward. It's not healthy. Okay? He was saying that I'm hypocrite, Nyachum. I don't know that Nyachum is hypocrite, right?
I think that's lies, right? Is it lies or hypocrite?
I don't know what he was talking about. But I mean, it's unfortunate that he was attacking not only me, anybody who could say anything about him on other radio stations, he attacks them, insult them. If that's what he's going to bring, then I'll tell him he's failed already. Because we need a united front. As a leader, you must come and swallow all things and then make sure that you bring people together. You don't come as a leader and separate people or get people away or bring confusion and be insulting left, right, center for it. Okay. I'm saying elections come with replication. The US election we held, there's a lot of issues that didn't go on right. But I will not come and sit on radio and then watch our detailing outside. What he was doing was wrong. I caution him, and if you think that's what the response is going to give, that is up to him. We are going to move on. We are going to work as a team. Whether he likes it or not, he has no choice to work with Sami Jemfi and all the new executive that will be elected. That is if the court affirms his election. That is if the court affirms the election. We don't know what the court is going to say in the next few days ahead of us. Whatever happens, if the court affirms the election, I believe, or I will recommend that he comes out to apologize to all the big shots he insulted. Julius Debra and the senior comrades he's insulted. I don't think this is healthy for him. And for me, I don't know, and I don't have anything to say to him. All what I would say that he has shown that he's immature. He's not fit for the job. That's all what I would say.
Would you work with him even if he has not apologized?
Of course. I mean, it's not the bigger picture is the 2024, not his individual.
Okay.
We are looking at the bigger picture. The bigger picture is not about anybody. It's not about politics. It's not about anybody. It's about the bigger picture. Okay. We are all looking for power, and the way we can do is to help and work together to win power. We need unity. We need togetherness. We need a common front to be able to win power. So that's what we are going to do. Now, let me come to the earlier question you posed to Legacy.
Okay.
The NDC is a democratic party. We are going to go through the democratic processes. Whoever or the number of people want to contest as a candidate, they will all come on board. They will contest. We will go to Congress, and a candidate will be selected.
Have you had any wins of who has won yet? Because I think they should be done by now, right?
No, they are not done. They are still. I mean,
they're still counting votes.
Okay. They are still casting votes. What I wanted to also state over here that as much as I'm going to go for Mahama, I want Mahama to go. We cannot conclude and say he's going to be the final candidate.
Right.
We are going to go through the process.
Okay. So when you say that, right? Do you then agree with? When you say that, then do you then agree with Ofosu Ampofo when he says that, you know, it's not appropriate for us to have somebody who's yet not a candidate to be making choices of who becomes director of this and that?
I disagree with Ofosu Ampofo because, look, there are some sensitive positions that you need to give chance to whoever is going to be the candidate to have an input into it.
Right.
And so that example is the director of election, the IT director. There's some sensitive information. Don't forget that when you are making your statement, you said allegation. It's not an allegation, it's a statement of fact. Whatever Asentu Ketia said, a statement of fact.
Okay, so if it's a statement of fact, right?
Please hold on. Can you allow me to flow, please?
Right.
Nobody has come to challenge and said that what he said is a lie. It's a statement of fact. Okay? We need to give people opportunity.
If that is the case, right, it bothers me because how is it a statement of fact that Griffiths is colluding with Bawumia and Asedu Ketia know about this when Griffiths was appointed and Asedu Ketia didn't do anything about it? How is that a statement of fact?
That
you know your enemy,
raised.
there's an enemy in your camp, but you allowed that. How is that a statement of fact?
That is the issue he raised, and that was where the some people took the decision he wants to resign. If that's not going to allow him to appoint as the chairman, by then to appoint people who are supposed to lead the various, directorates.
So let's be reasonable here, right? So you, secretary of the party, you know that the opposition has infiltrated into your camp and the person they have sent into your camp, you are now appointing that person as of your director of IT who will be responsible for collecting your results. But because chairman wants to resign, you decided, okay, if chairman is not going to resign,
it was put into vote.
But we would allow the opposition's appointed secretary of director of IT to screw us up just because we want to avoid the backlash that will come from chairman's resignation. Is that what you're saying?
That's not what I am saying. And you are rather trying to put words into my mouth.
Okay, I'm not saying what you're saying. Let me hear you clearly.
Don't try to put words into my mouth this afternoon. I am saying that this issue came up at FEC meeting and the majority carries the day. I think it's appropriate, and I side with General Asedu Ketia, and I'm vying for him to be the next chairman of the party because we need people who are bold, people who will be ready to lead us into victory. Of course, at that FEC meeting, that's when they had it, majority carries the day. Of course, you might disagree with it, but if the majority people vote that this one stays, you have to go by it.
No,
I am saying,
Paul, what I'm finding hard to believe is that, right, there is an infiltration into your camp. There is Bawumia selected person that you are making the director of your IT who's going to be responsible for your promotion. You are telling me that majority carries the day, so majority says that person should be. So we are. Isn't that ridiculous?
Alfred, there's something I'm missing. Asedu Ketia never alleged that he knows something about. He said the organizer of the party is alleged. The organizer of the party is alleged.
I think Mr. Asedu Ketia has not been very careful with his utterances.
I disagree with you, Alfred. I disagree with you.
Tell me how you disagree.
I am telling you that it is not an allegation. It's a statement of fact that he has defended it. He's going to stand by it, and he's ready to stand by it. Alfred, how come that we are going to an election? Do you know the money we spend on putting up a collation system? And that 5 regions, the collation system collapsed.
But again, the 5 regions, I think you listened to the Griffin's tape. Griffin is telling you that the reports are now the election results don't come by regions. They come constituency by constituency. So the whole allegation that after 5 regions the system crashed, it doesn't make any sense, does it to you? The reports come.
It does.
A polling station by polling station. So how did Asedu Ketia came up with his 5 region allegation?
It does. But as I stated, I will not be talking about this thing if it's not in the public domain. I'm telling you that for me, we have to select leaders who will be bold to lead us.
You didn't answer my question. How did the 5 regions come by? How did he get that information? Because I think
I'm not going to sit here to divulge sensitive information about what happened in our coalition center to you or to the public. I am not doing that.
I said that he already did that.
I am a party person. He just make a statement. He did not go into details of what happened. And you are not going to push me to tell you how and why he was saying that 5 region after 5 regions collapse. I'm not going to go into that details. I am telling you for a fact that as we speak, the grounds, information on the grounds shows that we need a new leader. And the new leader is General Asedu Ketia. I'm hoping by the close of this evening, he's going to be the new party chairman. We are going to have new executives where he's going to lead the party. And we need him to win 2024 election.
I think he lacks discipline, and I don't think he should.
Ofosu Ampofo's time is over. He's been chairman for 4 years. That is enough. He should go and join the Council of Elders, and let's give another person a chance. Let's give the new team a chance to work.
I said he has been in position for 17 years. I think he lacks discipline.
He
Some of the things he put outside in the public domain. Yeah, what he put in the public domain
17 years
shows me his character, and I don't think that person should be any close to even any executive position in the NDC. That is my position. But
that is your opinion. That is your opinion. You
perfect. Okay.
Take your opinion. Your opinion does determine what the majority opinion says. This evening, the majority will decide. And I am tipping for General Asedu Nketia. I hope and I believe he's going to win. If he doesn't win, whoever wins, we're going to work with the person. But the best person for the party now is General Asedu Nketia. Whether you like him or not, you think he's...
I mean, I have nothing personal against him. It's just I'm listening to the things that he's saying.
That is up to you.
The 5 regional thing doesn't make any sense to me. The fact that he knows that a Bawumia person has been implanted in the NDC and he allowed it. What is his job as a general secretary? He's supposed to be the CEO of the party. So he allows the opposition to take over.
Are you a panelist?
He has no problem with that. Huh?
Are you a panelist or you're a host? Which one it is?
Trust me, I'm not gonna just let anything pass, right? I will question you.
I am telling you that it's a statement of fact. That
I don't think so. I don't believe it. That's what I'm saying.
Afusu Ampofu sides have not come to deny that statement of fact. Nobody has spoken about it.
Maturity.
What do you mean by they are showing maturity?
They wouldn't come and talk about it. The same way you wouldn't talk about certain things in public. They wouldn't talk about certain things in public.
Such huge allegations has been made against you, and you are telling me that they are showing maturity. Really? Anyway,
well, but I'm saying that, for instance, Griffiths came back and spoke his mind, right? And Griffiths is telling you that it does not make any sense for you to even say.
Can we make progress? I mean, he says he's not going to divulge information.
Yeah, so he's not going to divulge.
Look. Let me tell you this thing for a fact. I was in Ghana. I was in the 2020 election. I was part of the 2020 election. When I was given a chance, few of us were given a chance to look at the collation center. When we got into that room, my first statement that came out was, "Do you have a backup?" They told us, "Yes, you have a backup." I knew.
That is a data person talking, you know.
I knew that this thing is not going to help us. How can you be having an election? You know, I mean, the government is in charge of the National National Communication Authority, NCA, and you are routing your network through the mobile services network, who are under the supervision of the NCA. How can you even do that in the first place?
But Paul,
look, I don't want to talk. As I said, I don't.
That notwithstanding, you have done pink sheet audits. You, Paul, on this program, you promise us that you have the numbers that shows that the NDC actually won. Do you step back? Are you stepping back from that information? Because
I am not stepping back from the information. I am not stepping back of that information.
Because I said you step away from it. I said Nketia is telling us that we didn't have the information.
He didn't say that.
He said he asked for the information, they couldn't provide it. They said they should take it to Lawyer Chachu. Lawyer Chachu went and looked at that, and Lawyer Chachu says, by the way, you can't take this information to go and present anything in court. So the only strategy left is for them to press on the Electoral Commission to, put the commissioner in the box.
The Electoral Commission herself presented us with 4 different results. Which one are we taking?
The question I'm asking you is,
which of the results?
Do you back the NDC? Because the person you're saying was saying the statement of fact.
I still stand by my decision that the 2020 election, we won the election. The Electoral Commission connived with the MPP to rig the election, and I still stand by that fact.
General Asedu disagree.
He did not disagree.
He never disagreed on the data.
He never spoke about that. He never spoke about that.
We spent so much time here.
He never spoke about that, saying that whether we won or we didn't. He never went to that angle.
He said after 5 regions, the system crashed.
Collection of the
you
data.
Don't have the numbers.
He spoke about the collection of the data. That's what he was speaking about. That's what he spoke about. Don't let us misrepresent him or send or distort the information he put out there. Asiedu Ketia never said anything about whether we won or we lost. He just said the data collapsed alongside of gathering the information, and when we went to the manual collection,
How do you know
the
you
guy
won if you don't have the
separated us.
data?
What do you mean by how did we know if we didn't win the
Then
data? How
Asiedu Ketia say it crashed after 5 regions. You accepted that. So how do you know you won when you don't have the data?
We did manual collation after that,
which he said
and,
he had who was in charge of it,
and there were different figures, and there were different figures we were getting.
Paul,
and the same
need
issue
to
was
go
getting
listen
different
to General Asiedu Ketia very well and see if this guy's not irresponsible.
I'm not going to change my mind. I'm not going to change my mind. You're not going to. I mean, you are not going to force me to change my mind. My mind is made up. I am telling you that the election, whatever it is, we need a new chairman to lead the party. Whether you like it or not, you can decide to agree with me or not. Every election comes with issues. The issues came. We saw it. We're going to work on it. I'm going to make sure that it doesn't happen in 2024.
Right.
And all we are saying that we need a new leader should lead us. And I'm tapping for Asiedu Ketia. And I believe and I hope at the close of this evening, the next an hour or two, when election voting is over, and the
Chairman Akufo will be declared of the chairman, right?
Asiedu Ketia will be declared the chairman of the party, and we are going to have a new leader who's going to lead us into victory 2024.
All right, no problem. Thank you so much.
In the event, Asiedu Ketia, in the event of Osuampofo become the chairman, we will all rally behind him and support him. It's an election. Whoever wins, we rally the person. But I am taping Asiedu Ketia, and I'm going to make it public anywhere. I stand for Asiedu Ketia to be the next chairman of the party.
Okay, no problem. Thank you so much for those submissions right there. Today I'm pushing everybody's envelope, right? Like I'm not, I'm not just yes sir, right? I gotta push up, on you guys a little bit.
The lawyer in you is beginning to show now. Your cross examinations are beginning to work. So
but Can I go before my brother Nana, because I have a lot to say about his reactions and everything. So if you can go before him, that'd be nice.
Okay, sure. I mean, if you allow that, right? Because Dan, it's supposed to be your turn, but you allow him to go.
Dan, please allow me, because I have lots to say. So first of all, I am flabbergasted that my video that I saw, I heard my brother's excellent take on Asempa, and I was able to even.
You were playing propaganda. Wow, that was propaganda. You were playing propaganda.
I heard my brother's excellent. The way he uttered those words about. I mean, he was.
Yeah, it was well written. I mean, when I was reading, I was like, oh, nice.
So
yeah.
When I heard it, honestly, I felt proud to be associated with someone like that on a platform. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, let me go back, take a video, and then share it with the group. Out of nowhere, my brother started attacking me. So I am surprised.
I never attacked you. I never attacked you.
I'm surprised that I just said, my brother here, Amuzu, you were able to use this to show how important we have Paul on this platform.
Of course, we have Paul, which is a very significant portion of our program.
What I'm saying is that it wasn't malicious. I mean, no. I was really impressed with the delivery and the way he's like any party person would want this to be. Seriously. Mm-hmm. So Paul, I mean, I commend you for that message, because
I think the message Paul was sending is not bad. The message Paul was sending is that we need party unity, we need
coherence, and I agree with Paul
within the party. So Paul, you did the right thing. My only fault with you now is supporting some very indisciplined old man who's been at it for a very long time.
Very disciplined.
He should be retired. He should be gone. He should be nowhere close to
executive
position with the NDC. Now even him and Akufo, none of those people should be anywhere close to.
I agree with you.
Position, but it's just.
You think?
I've read a doctor.
No, please don't come in yet. You think that
I disagree with you guys.
We'll bring you in, boss.
You think the way Paul responded to Pablo, Paul would take they say that strong stance and say Asiedu was wrong.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen that way. But I can agree. I can agree with Paul where he stands. This is the democracy. But then I'm also very surprised that my brother here, lifetime. I love him as a brother, but his politics is really weak. You cannot just come and say because you know what, Mahama was wrong to even think that he will be how can you just say that we have a party chairman just because you presume that you'll be president, he should allow you to nominate or that is wrong. And for the first time in 2 months, I've not seen my brother Nanaya Dan smile, smirk, smiling from ear to ear. There are two reasons why he's doing that, because the dollar is depreciating.
We'll talk about that
And
next
today he knows very
so.
well that his colleagues on the other side are in deep trouble. So today I've never seen Dan smile for baby with smiles throughout. He's happy. But on a more serious note, I mean, I agree with you, Alfred, that what the NDC did to Opuso is not the best. It is not the best, and the general is part of the problem. And for this message to come out, the way you deceived the entire world about having the numbers, you didn't have any numbers. You didn't. This is appalling, and
I don't even believe what General is saying, because there's no way you are telling me that 5 regions crashed, because we don't receive the results by region. I mean, it just doesn't make sense. So that is why I think General is saying, and for General has to be a key to come and tell us that you knew that there is an implant in the organization that you lead. You are the CEO. You have
Alfred,
I'll give you your no. Let me finish. And we live the democracy, and you see. To this point, this is where the double standards come in, Alfred. You remember we were talking about democracy when you said that we don't need democracy in ECOWAS? Now you are advocating for this democracy in the NDC.
No, but come on, you got to be. I say a requirement to be part of ECOWAS should not be because you are democratic or not. But it does not preclude me from arguing for democracy in a political party. I mean, I'm not anti-democracy. I'm not saying that. Don't construe my saying that there's no requirement for democracy, that one is to be democratic in order to be part of ECOWAS.
It's not required.
That I am anti-democracy.
You're saying it's not required. No, I'm not saying you're anti-democracy, but I'm saying that it's just double standard right now.
How is that double standard?
It's not required that you have to be democratic to join ECOWAS.
No,
but in another vein, you're saying that it has to be a democratic process for NDC to elect leaders.
The NDC is a democratic party.
As the leader of the party.
The NDC is a democratic party, and we hold them to democratic ideals.
Yes.
Yeah.
ECOWAS should be.
ECOWAS is not a democratic institution.
What are you fighting for?
I mean, come on, bro. ECOWAS is not a democratic institution. ECOWAS is not supposed to be. ECOWAS is, what is ECOWAS? ECOWAS is Economic Community of West African Countries. It's not supposed to be that West African country has to be democratic to be part of that.
But there are rules that the government.
Move it on. You kind of.
I mean, there are rules. There are rules that govern any situation. If you are clamoring for democracy for NDC, it should be for democracy is the way to be in this world.
It's not necessarily. China is not democratic, and China has succeeded. Democracy is not necessarily the way to do anything better than other system. But I'm saying, if a party is already a democratic party, we hold them to the tenets of democracy. So let's focus on the issue. Stop kind of trying to bring these two unrelated issues together. The issue we are discussing right now, they're not. I told they're not.
I can move on. But the important of my point is that we cannot get the discount of Ampof in this situation. What he did was the right thing. If you're a party at the point in time, if you're supposed to elect people, you should be not just the one that we assume. And it's sad that my brother here, Legacy, is saying that we all agree that Mahama will be. No, now we have Comrade Dufo coming in terms, and you were supposed to be a National Democratic Party. That you keep bringing all these PNDC rules where people impose on one another. It's high time that the NDC move on from all these PNDC ideologies so that we all be a better democratic Ghana. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. I agree with everything you said except the democratic kind of comparison parts. But anyway, let's go to my brother Dan.
I think our conversation needs to be nuanced. When I say nuanced, sometimes on paper looks like that's how they're supposed to be, but in practice, if you try to do it that way, you have practical difficulties. You get what I'm trying to say? And some of these things have to be looked in the context of the organization itself and what makes sense, right?
Right.
So in the context of the NDC politics, it appears the position that both sides held makes sense, right? It makes sense, and therefore they needed to find a mutual ground to marry that, or find a way around that structure to accommodate the views of each party. Because it is true per the NDC constitution that if they're in opposition and they don't have a flag bearer, the chairman is the leader of the party, right?
Exactly.
So you cannot tell me that, if I'm the chairman of the leader of a party, I should wait until, a presumptive candidate decides when we should fill our committee positions in the party. That, yes, in theory doesn't really make sense, right? Because, it is not the case that, who knows? Nobody knows whether we'll all live to meet 2024, right? You get what I'm trying to say? So if you look at that in a bigger context, if we don't live and beyond, and let's say, excuse me, Mahama even decide that he's not going to, he contest. What happens to those nominated people? Are we now going to say, hey, because the candidate that said we presume was going to be our candidate now says it's not going to be, you guys should step aside and we should now go and replace the new guys on the committee with another candidate who has come in. So I think that what they should have done is that they should have had a committee. The IT should be like 5, maybe their constitution should make an arrangement that says there are 5 or 6 people, and then they will say 4 majority of those committee will be, filled by the chairman or the national NDC national executive people, and then they will leave one spot, right? Maybe for whoever that presumptive candidate is. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And I think if they do it that way, they can marry both views, because both views make sense. Because remember in Ghana, when we go into an election, even though it is the NDC that presents a candidate, in the constitution of Ghana, we don't know it as an NDC. We know it as that, the presidential candidate. I don't know if that is why even when we go to court, remember, it is not the NDC that goes to court. It is the presidential candidate that files that contest an election result. And sometimes the party will go and support him. So if you look at it strictly from a constitutional point of view, it is the candidate himself that is standing for the election. The party is only preparing somebody and presenting him out there. So in that arrangement, yes, it will make sense why the person who is going for the election needs to have comfort about the people that are going to collate the results that come to him. So I see where that argument is coming from, which is not a bad argument. But my surprise was that I was surprised at Ofusampofo's reaction to that suggestion. Like he didn't even want to give room for negotiating that particular,
but the thing is that there's always this undemocratic way of approaching this issue in the NDC, where it doesn't matter whether it was 2016, 2020, or what it was. Everybody just assumes that, Mahama, like even you look at Sami Jemfi, everything he says is that everything with President Mahama, former President Mahama, it's not giving an opportunity and a fair playing ground for others to contest. So I can see where, as a chairperson of a party, you want to make it democratic.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, in the context of the argument that in this nuanced conversation, what Ofusampofu was saying, that in theory looks like the right thing. But in practice, we all know that the NDC is more skewed towards Mahama. You see the practicality of trying to marry what Ofusampofu is trying to do, which is the right thing. But you have to.
I think our narratives around that feed into the practice of it, because at the end of the day, there shouldn't be any skewing of anything from the standpoint of the executives.
Ofusampofu would have probably used that nice opportunity to explain to them that, hey, I'm the chairman here. Think about me as a leader of this party. I have to be fair to everybody, irrespective of even whether the person has contested election in this party before or not. Even the first person that is coming, the very people that are coming to pick nomination for the first time, I have to give them the same equal, fair opportunity like I'll even give anybody else that has, run for this position before. Even though we all know that eventually, if those people come Mahama has an advantage. That is something we know. Now everybody knows that. But as a chairman, I can't play like that. You guys can play like that, but I can't play like that. I have to play strictly. But then the suggestion that you guys have brought on board makes sense. But I'm not going to personalize that suggestion.
Even that suggestion could have been that let's do these 2 other nominations in consultation with our candidates. All right.
But
There may
I
be a
see.
consensus person there that the candidate might say, oh, we all like this person. Or they might say, you know what, since this is in consultation, we'll just shelve it until we know who the winner is.
Or you can even put a clause that let's do it subject to, you have to put that they are not, these positions are presumptive positions now, because we're assuming that this person is going to be the candidate. If it doesn't become the candidate, those positions will go away. And
whoever becomes the candidate, remember, these are just directors of the positions. They can fire them at any time. Imagine Akufo firing. Akufo even actually pushing a process to fire the chairman of the NDC, MPP, and the secretary. So those changes can occur.
Can occur. But, so I think that is where Ofusu Ampofu should have then say, shouldn't have dismissed and make it look as if somebody's against him. That because what the other people too were saying, it's about trust. We all have to trust ourselves going into this process, right? We can't be a team and not trust ourselves and have, so they were trying to build trust around the process as they go into this thing. So I think he should have not taken it too personal and dismiss what the other folks were saying outrightly. On a practical level, try and create a structure that can accommodate that within the, and it becomes a structure that you can use going forward, so that you're not personalizing it to one person like it's John Mahama.
So even say that as he may, right? Be that as he may, he hasn't really listened to them. He just went ahead and chosen Griffin and all that. Then Mahama became the candidate.
No, but I think the way they suggested it to, it looked very awkward, because you can't say that, hey, if I'm the chairman of the party, we should wait until we know who our presidential candidate before you can nominate, because these people have to start working even before the election day.
But I'm saying that if Mahama had somebody else in mind to be the director of IT, when he became the candidate, right? Then, like I said in Ketia is saying, we know Griffins apparently maybe have some relationship with Bawumia, and perhaps Mahama is also aware of that. What prevents Mahama from changing him?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, because that, and remember, the difficult, what they want to avoid is that they don't want to go into an election where Mahama has his own setup and the party has its own setup. So you see that that is one of the practical challenges.
I'm saying the candidate can change the party hierarchy. It happened.
No, that's what I'm saying. That on a practical sense, even though it is the party that is presenting Mahama, we've had this time in this process where political parties, the presidential candidate will have his own campaign setup.
Right.
And assign some people role devoid of party structure. And that usually create problems for the political party. They don't want that kind of situation to see. Because that has happened in MPP before and people complained. And I probably think that NDC in learning lessons, they want to make sure that everything is run at the party level. The party controls
by the Bawumia appointed guy.
Well, that is one allegation. I think that it's easy sometimes to put allegations.
So it's the same person who's saying all these things. I want to make sure that we focus on Sedun Ketia with this thing, because he's the one who's saying all these things. He said so many different things that.
But
we are saying only saying those are facts.
I'm with you. We can sit here and interrogate the logic of what Sedun Ketia is saying and put holes in there, but can we also dismiss a person like Sedun Ketia saying these things in a political party that he has been general secretary for 17 years? There might be something he's saying, probably he's not saying it right, that we probably are also dismissing.
It doesn't make a lot of sense for some of the things he's saying. So how is it that the secretary of a party knows that there is a mole who is holding the most sensitive position in the party, and he's fine with it? Until everything breaks down. Because it's the chairman's decision.
These are party things, right? It's possible he might have put these concerns out there in some meeting, and I mean, he's not the only one that takes decision for the party, right? It's always a collective. So if I protest in a particular meeting that there's something going on that I don't like, the collective disagree with me, eventually my decision is not going to hold. There's that collective decision that will carry.
Convince me that Sedun Ketia is saying that, look, our director of IT in charge of our coalition is a mole from the MPP. The whole party went into a meeting, and there was still a decision that, no problem. Even though this person may be a mole, we are keeping him. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. I said Ketia can make that position, but if when they went into that meeting, the committee people ask for the evidence and you can't provide it, you just make this allegation.
So Sedun Ketia is saying a falsehood in this particular situation, because again, it's not true that that guy Griffins is a mole of Bawumia. Because if it is, I said saying that the whole NDC is so stupid enough that they couldn't make a decision.
No, I'm with you. get me right here. What I'm saying is that Asiedun Ketia, even though might have made that position maybe to whichever NDC committee or party he made it, that committee might have overridden that and said, we don't have basis to conclude on, we don't agree. But Asiedun Ketia would have still kept to his belief that I still believe that is what it is. Nobody will stop him from holding on to that belief. You get what I'm trying to say? So he will still go ahead and say what he believes it is, but the committee probably might have dismissed that and say, we don't believe this is the case. And now, because they are going into an election, he wants to show the electorate that he has all this while, even though the committee might have dismissed his assertion, he believed that what he has held on up to now, it's correct. And that is a campaigning position I will not take that away from, because eventually he's going to the kingmakers and he wants to make a point and distinguish himself from all other people and say, hey, I have held this belief, and I think that if you guys...
Then he also made an allegation that after 5 regions were reported, the system crashed. Do you believe that?
No, well, so you see, sometimes it's a matter of language. When you say the system crashed, when you say 5 regions, I don't think it's probably saying specifically that we were only getting results by region. The results then come like we finish one region, we go to the... That's not how we all know that that's not how our results come in, right? It depends on which polling station has finished and which numbers are coming in. They come across different regions. They don't come like... But when you are tallying them, you can tally and group them by regions, right? So I don't think when he says it that way, he's meant it directly that, one region, we finish the result, we go to the next. I don't think that's how he meant it, because that's not how we all, on the practical side, we all collate results in Ghana. But I think what he's probably trying to say is that at some point, their system did not take them through. They had a crash. Whatever be the case, at some point, they experience some difficulties. But, my problem is, even if the NDC goes into an election, they're unable to collate a result, the responsibility is for the EC to always have accurate results and make sure that every party's true votes are reflected. So even if political party decide not to collate results, the EC at any point in time, that responsibility on them to have their result certified and be fair to each party that participates in the election must not be something that we let go and say that, because some political party didn't do it, the EC too must not do it. That responsibility, we must always hold the EC to it. As for political parties, if they do it, it's all for their own good and for their own what do you call it? Cross-checking the results and making sure that
we understand that. But why this is relevant, because we have to go through a whole court process, right? With where the NDC claimed that they know that we've won the election.
But let's also be fair. When they went to court, when NDC went to court, per the case that the NDC took to court, if you remember, the NDC case heavily was centered on the declarations that were made in multiple times, what do you call it?
Multiple declarations,
the multiple declarations. That was where most of their cases were centered. So their strategy was heavily skewed toward that particular constitutionalism of what that result meant. And backing that up with their own result would have just made their case stronger. But they didn't go on that approach that we want to go.
Yeah, because again, like you said, the EC is the one who collates, right? And the EC is going to be the one who declares, right? So if the EC says A and the ECs come and say, by the way, we missed 2 and 3, so we are re-adding, and we say it's B, and you say that is inaccurate, or you want to understand the constitutionality of that, then you have to have a basis for disagreeing with the corrections that EC did.
And that is why I knew they were going to fail, because for you to, even though you are relying on that strategy of unconstitutional declaration, you cannot go just solely on that, because you are saying the person have made an error, right? But you are not going to court with other backing evidence to support that error. You have proven that error with your own numbers, and that you can show the court that, hey, based on my own numbers, I can further prove that this was error. You were still relying on that same person's record to prove that he's made an error. That would be tough in any court.
Yeah, then it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard.
So it wasn't surprising they lost the case. But if they had their own numbers, independent of that error, to even back it, their case would have been much stronger. But of course, they didn't have the numbers. And they themselves knew they didn't have the numbers. So when they went to court, they had to play it on the other side. And the EC2 was probably smart, knew through it, and also didn't give them that opportunity to come and waste his time.
So there is a CEO of a political party who knew that the guy who was meant to collect the results for them is, not competent in doing so, or has been, corrupted by the opposition or somehow. Not
but
to do the work appropriately. And then the evidence came where the person was not able to collect the result correctly. After 5 regions, according to this individual, the system crashed, so they didn't have the right result. However, he went to courts arguing that
remember he said in the leak tape, he even further follow-up. He said that when they went to their main lawyer, right? When they went to their main lawyer,
the strategy was they have to smoke it out.
Exactly. So, when you go to court, it's not only about you having evidence. So even the strategy that you use to go to court can make a big difference in your case.
No, you have to pass the summary judgments. First of all, you go to court, you have to first of all beat summary judgment for you to have your case progress
and that
to
is why
discovery.
the judges, to make the case simple for themselves, ask them where was your result.
The judges refuse to grant summary judgment because Akufo Addo say they failed to state the case and therefore there should be a summary judgment. But the judges refuse to grant summary judgment, saying that okay, let's progress it to the next level, which would have been discovery. But a discovery can be a fish. What do we even call
fishing
it?
Expedition.
It can be a fishing expedition, So they try to use the discovery to hunt for the evidence they needed themselves, which would have been the evidence they needed to actually sustain summary judgment, which the ruling on the summary judgment, it wasn't because they have enough evidence to actually escape summary judgment. Otherwise, the case would have been dismissed as summary judgment.
Right. But the judges wanted to listen through, and that is why that is why I like the court system, because when you go to court, you see all these nuances about propaganda, lies goes to lie, and then we can focus on the actual facts of the case. At that point, you don't have the liberty and the luxury to bring, I believe. You have to really prove your case.
Yeah, it's not I believe. Yes, you have to have a back,
Yeah, that is why I always tell people that the court system provides for us to take all this noise away and then now focus on the real issues. At that point, whoever is playing mischief will find himself wanting, if indeed he didn't have a case and he just went to court to waste time, will expose that person. And whatever judgment the courts make, those judgments are not just for NDC. Those judgments will remain.
It serves as precedents.
Yes, and it will affect everybody, to affect MPP. Any other person in the future will be affected by that judgment. So when courts make judgments, they are serious matters. Don't think that they are made in favor of one party. Tomorrow, another thing will come up and somebody will reference that particular judgment, and it becomes something that will live within our, jurisprudence forever. So for me, I like the court system for that kind of thing, because sometimes our people are so dishonest. We lie so much. We don't tell people the truth, and we try to cover our weaknesses with these lies, knowing that the masses cannot, see the difference, right? But when we go to court, those people who lie will eventually have the tough time to lie in court or play that mischief in court. And the court will make it clear for all of us to see what is going on. But let me come back to the election. That's what I'm saying. When we are having this conversation, we have to be nuanced about it. The NDC has a history, right? We cannot just discuss the NDC and compare them to any other party, in absolute terms like that. Relatively, the NDC has a history. They've come from somewhere. You see that thing. So you must understand the NDC within their own context and within their own history and where they have come from, and judge them based on their own milestone. You don't even compare them to another party.
They have a constitution, so the constitution is supposed to stabilize so that there's a standardized expectation of what is likely to happen. You just can't say, let's use some custom or history or whatever we had before.
No, they have a constitution, but that's what I'm saying. Understand where they've come from before coming to have that constitution and where they're going. The NDC, all this while, are trying to isolate themselves and make themselves independent of any individual person. That was what they tried to do under Rawlings,
right?
Because they didn't want to have the party be like it is one person that dictates this party. They wanted to isolate the party, make it constitutional, and for the most part, take decisions based on that constitution. Let that constitution guide them, so that tomorrow no one person will have influence on the party. But you see, in as much as the NDC tried to do that with Rawlings, they fall into this Mahama trap again. And whenever they are taking any decision, even though they want to be independent, they still look back behind them and be like, oh, we still need to rely on this one person that has influence in our party. Because in the past, we were trying to get away from that. But getting away from that has not been easy. And I'm surprised that this same Asiedun Ketia, who led that very important, I concept of
separation from
an independent
factor.
Party, that is strong, will now be in this same position where he's trying to go back to the old and having one person still have an influence on, party activity. That is for me the irony of the Asiedun Ketia, posture at this point in time. But largely, I think Ofusampo for us was trying to hold on to that idea that this party must be independent. We must not make this party be like it's one person that can control all activity. We must take decisions based on our structures, based on our constitution, and fulfill our aspiration as a party. So that tomorrow, if Mahama is not there, the party will not be found wanting. There's a system, there's a structure that the party can rely on going for. And I think that is more of an enduring way of running an organization beyond just this short-term, compromises that you want to make to a leader because today he has the influence. If tomorrow he's not there, then what happened? What is your plan B? Then you found wanting. You see the problem. So there must be an enduring system that goes beyond any particular individual, that survives any particular individual influence. And I think that way the party will become stronger for it, and everybody will feel like there's an equal chance and opportunity in this party.
One thing I've learned in this whole discussion is whether Ofusu and Pofo, I don't think there was anything done badly in 2020 because it is obvious that the NDC actually lost the election. Whether they collated properly or because they even did an audit of the pink sheets, right? According to the minus only some 300 pink sheets, they did an audit of all the pink sheets. So it is obvious that the election was lost. Right?
I'm with you. That is why the reasonable that is why the reasonable person will come to you. But you see, we are doing politics. We are not just doing logical reasoning. So sometimes that is where the nuances are. We are doing politics. Politicians, Amuzu, do you know how we keep our supporters charged?
But on this show, on the Ghana agenda, we try to be reasonable, right? We know I'm bringing politicians here, but we want to hold them accountable for.
I know that is what I think journalists must help our parties grow, and I agree with that position that you are taking. But I also want to give you the other side of the reality that as political parties, if you're in opposition, it's not easy managing a party in opposition. No. You need money, you need passion, you need energy, you need resources. So do you know how we get our people energized for the next election? How we get our people to unite and be prepared for the next election without we having to go and spend money to motivate anybody? Sometimes we create these things in there to let our supporters feel that we were cheated. That way, in the next election, they'll be more energized. We can easily rally them. And so sometimes it's a strategy, and what political parties use it. So let's
ask Paul if that's what they are doing. Maybe he might. Paul, do you think that's what you guys are doing?
I'm telling you my observation. Paul can deny it, but I'm telling you what I've seen in political parties. And so I'm telling you that the EC will always be an scapegoat for that kind of thing. And that is why, if you look at both political parties, whenever we've lost an election, we've had somebody to blame. It is not us, it is those people. But as we go through this process, everybody's eyes will get open. At some point, you can't play this trick on anybody again. People will now begin to hold you accountable. That don't come and tell me this story. They'll begin to hold their leaders accountable in this party. And at that point, the EC will be free. If they lost an election, nobody will go and blame the EC. You get what I'm trying to say? They will know their leaders. It is this political party that have not done their work well, and they have lost an election. So for me, there's room to grow and get out of this mischief. But for now, it's a very good strategy for political parties to blame somebody and energize their support base, keep them going for the next election. And if you think that is going to go away now, I'm sorry, it's going to be part of our body politics for some time, until such a time that people's eyes get open and they begin to see through these things, and they don't take these parties any serious more when they try to play those games on them. But that is part of the game. So don't make the game look like this is a very clean game. Yeah, this is a very clean game that people play, and they will come and say things in a very straightforward, for in the logical way that you as a lawyer will want to look at things. If that is the case, then that will not be politics. That is why politics sometimes does not follow just this logical, path that we usually are known to. And you have this little bit of, illogicalities that play around, because it also serves a purpose for why these political parties want to mobilize their people for the next election. But I think that, I'm happy to see the NDC grow democratically, because it's good for Ghana. You see, the NDC have come a long way. If you look at the NDC today, and even when I was listening to Asempa and I was listening to some of the people that were competing for some of the positions, you could see that there's a change of mindset coming. Some people are beginning to think more data, more strategic. They are beginning to think that it is not a choboy. It is not, the violence that will win them election. You can begin to see that there are some group within the party that is beginning to take the party on a different mindset. And in recent times, if you are a very candid observer of the NDC, look at their flag bearer, his tonation, his body language.
He's calm and very reasonable.
Exactly. He's beginning to have a certain understanding that, hey,
We cannot keep the old approach. We need to have a different way of interacting with the electorate and different way of talking about the issues and not, agreeing on anything good, even when we know it is good. And that kind of thing, for me, is good. And I think that I'm beginning to get refreshed sometimes, even though I don't believe the NDC have the capacity.
Are you
to
picking your NDC membership form anytime soon?
No, I'm not. I'm just. I'm just giving them.
This is what
I'm seeing from afar. Even though I don't believe they have the capacity to do that, but I think that if the NDC is better, MPP cannot be in power forever. We all know that, right? So we must pray that the political parties are better, so that if any party wins election in the future, we are not too worried about who is ruling our country, because we know their position, we know the quality that they bring on board, and that is good for the country. But like I always tell the NDC, let them go and do their own thing. When it comes to the campaigning, we'll all go to the electorate. We'll all have the opportunity to tell them what we can do, and then we'll show the Ghanaian people who is better. So for me, I'm waiting for them to get prepared and let them come and let's box it up with the electorate.
Okay. Thank you so much. Let me just pick. Addo, I don't know if you're still there. Let's do last words and wrap it up. I think we've done a lot of time. We cover for all the weeks that we've not been here. Addo, are you there? I think we may have lost Addo too. So, well,
maybe Addo is enjoying me. He wants you to.
You're in good hand. I'm in good hands. So he left. Anyway, the one other thing that
can I ask you a question? Do you think that it's fair? It's fair that if we're going to a contest, like people who are executive members openly declare who they think who can do the job, or people are saying that if you're an executive member, you don't have that. If you're not conducting the election, why can't I voice my support for somebody or disapproval for somebody? If I'm the one conducting the election, then it makes sense for you to say, okay, because you are conducting the election, if you say that, you might create the impression that you are going to rig the election. But this is the case, it's the EC conducting the election. So if I'm
the electoral commission, actually, well, it depends, right? Because again, depending on the type of election, for instance, the chairman election and the candidacy election, the electoral commission of Ghana actually supervises that.
Okay.
It's not the parties themselves.
Okay.
So as far as the youth level elections, I don't know whether it was done by the party hierarchy.
Is the EC that supervises that election?
Okay, so,
every election. If the EC is supervising the election, why can't I'm not supervising? I don't have any control. EC is going to count whoever won or whoever lost.
Yeah.
So why will you prevent me as an executive if I'm in the party and I know that?
I don't think that makes so. Look,
you know what I'm asking?
We should differentiate between a party executive and let's say somebody who's holding a political office like the member of parliament. You can obviously approach the member of parliament and get an endorsement, right? But somebody who's within the party hierarchy itself, right? Like the chairman, the secretary, and all that. I think they should have some restraint on endorsing, because they may have factions that will throw weight behind a particular political candidate. Here we know, their endorsement that's the powerful people in the parties give to specific candidates. But I don't see, let's say, for instance, somebody who's an officer of the Democratic Party, like the chairman or the secretary of the Democratic Party in the United States, endorsing a particular candidate. I don't see that part, because they are in a position that requires fairness, right? So it will be unfair for them to, because they sit in committee decisions, they make decisions that are likely to favor one party or the other. So they have to show fairness.
But that is why somebody also asked the question that because they sit in those committee meetings, they know the workings of the party and they know the people who will be needed to advance the cause of the party. And therefore,
you are giving too much power to. This is supposed to be democracy where individuals go and vote to kind of choose. It's not based on the knowledge you have as a person about some specific person's working. That is why the candidates are allowed to go and sell themselves. Otherwise, we could have relied on people who know about the candidates to come and just give references, and then we'll vote based on the references. You know what I mean? In this particular case, we are opening it up for everybody else to. It's popularity game. So we don't want you skewing, like, especially if you are in a privileged position to know certain things. We don't want, it shouldn't be, it's not appropriate for you to skew.
Okay. And now my last question to the NDC folks. Have the NDC ever had a chairman that have stayed on for more than 4 years? I'm talking about chairman, not general secretary.
I haven't
It looks like all their chairman.
I mean,
are only 4
Rollins
years.
was some de facto chairman at some point after he left office, and it was just the chairman.
No. Can somebody be? I mean, I know Kwabena J didn't go 8 years, right? If late Kwabena J, I don't think he had 8 years as chairman. And before him, who became the chairman? Before Kwabena J, I don't know. Before Kwabena J, who was? I don't remember any chairman of the NDC having gone 8 years. It's general secretary there. I know. I said he has been there for a long. But chairman, it looks like all the time they changed a chairmanship. You know, no chairman ever gets 2 nods. So that is what makes it difficult for the Ofusampofu case. But I mean, if you look at this election and where the NDC stands now, I'm not surprised they went vote for Ashedun Ketia. Do you know why?
Why? I think there's a party hierarchy behind him, right?
No, not even the party hierarchy, because the Ashedun Ketia style of politics
is what pans to the people.
It's what most of the foot soldiers, resonate with.
Right.
And that kind of politics too doesn't resonate with, excuse me to say, a lot of very objective, like level-headed, reasonable people who are not necessarily party folks.
Yeah, I personally don't think he showed maturity, because if you look at things on the surface, you think that you see Ufosu Amposan restraining himself, not in the public domain, putting out dirty stories out there about him per se. I think for the longest that he's staying in the party, there could be things that would be said about him as well, right? But
I get it, but that's what I'm saying. But because it's party politics, and it's not the people that are making the decision are not all like you, Amuzu. The way you take an issue and go deep and analyze it and make all the connection. Most of the people that are voting, they don't care about this analysis. All they care somebody who will come and stand in front of them and motivate and say things that will ginger them to go and vote, get the elections, and win. And I say Ketia carries that charisma more than Ofusampofu does in reality. Ofusampofu is that more administrative person. Sit back, let's strategize. Not that public person that will come and say some things that will push people or get. So
I have my reservation on him too, because I've heard him on occasions say some of the outlandish things ever said on air, live tape captured with him saying really things that he shouldn't be saying. So my position is these 2 individuals should not be anywhere close
to who would then come up. Because these two, they look like they are most experienced when it comes to NDC matters.
I mean, they can be others in the background using their experience to advise others to actually carry the mantle. They can write books. They can do all kinds of other things. We don't need them because their style of politics is no longer where the country is. It's just people are discerning these days, right? People are listening to reason, and these people are not offering that. That's why.
So maybe that is why they are bringing in some youthful people. I mean, that like the what do you call it? The Elvis Ankara, the Otukono, they are trying to mix it up with some other, very strong communicative guys. I mean, but if the NDC is strong, I think our democracy is better for it, because holding government accountable. You remember our system? I've always said that political accountability, it's one of our weakest link in our democratic, because of the way our constitution is structured. It's concentrate power so much on one side that sometimes it's even difficult for, if you're on the other side, to make any influence or make the accountability process work the way it's supposed to work. So stronger parties are really good in a system like this in ours, where political power is so much concentrated on one side, so that we can have countervailing forces. That is that is how any good system self-sustain itself. Countervailing forces playing around, and effective ones, not, excuse me, the lazy one. Like Paul Adomochu will say, I mean, the weighty matters that Ashedun Ketia brings to the political discourse. We have to move beyond that. Bring the heavy matters and let that resonate with independent people. And as the NDC transform itself, if you can bring the weighty matters that resonate with people, you begin to get people who will naturally begin to gravitate towards the NDC. But if you don't bring those gravity matters, people will shy away from you. That is why I've always asked the NDC, ask yourself, why do you lose most of the academic or intelligentials? That's a big question you need to ask yourself, and look at your brand position going forward if you want to be a strong party. And I think that is a question I'll leave for them. I'm not going to be a consultant to them. They know what is good for them. And if they consult me, I can advise them. But I
know you are a consultant for breaking the 8, so they definitely know your position.
As for the 8, we hope to break it, but
we hope. Wish, right?
That is our wish, but the electorate will decide if that is possible.
Exactly. Anyway, I had left one topic that we were supposed to talk about, which is the CD's performance, because I think it's worth talking about. Maybe we might push it to next week. But if you want to pass a quick one line on it, the city is on the rise, and
I'm happy the way things have turned out. The reason why I'm happy is that for those that were speculating, that didn't need dollars, that were speculating, they are going to take these losses. And for me, that is a big lesson to them. That you don't do that if you don't, because you cause pain to people when the city was really depreciating, right? You cause a lot of pain to people. You make people lose money. Didn't need.
Others will argue that the international financial arrangement is based on speculation anyway to start with. So,
that is part of the market, right? There's some speculative element in the market always. But if you overdo it, this is some of the consequences, because what you do is not supported by the fundamentals, the long run fundamentals. So yes, CD currencies can depreciate. Our CD was going to depreciate no matter what.
Let me ask the question: what do you say accounts for the rise that we are currently witnessing in the city? Is it the IMF program that we have a staff level agreement for, or there is other policy positions that you think causing the rise against the dollar? You can also see where the dollar itself is not performing very well. So
but put that conversation in context. When you say the dollar is not performing well, it is relative to the dollar's own performance, not to other currencies.
Right.
Because the dollar was surging, but the momentum has just slowed. But the dollar is still higher relative.
Right.
So let's put that conversation in that context. But that alone will not account for what we saw. Right.
Okay.
What is accounting for what we've seen today is a mix of different things, and I think that one of it, most importantly, like you're saying, is the IMF staff level agreement. Because remember, when we announced that we were going to the IMF, people got confused because a lot of people thought, so things were that bad and these people didn't tell us, and all of a sudden you sprung us a surprise that we were going to the IMF. Remember, Ken had been saying, we will never go to the IMF. So people thought that our things were really strong. Things were on, but once you announce that I'm going to the IMF, then panic set in. What kind of surprise have you sprung on? Because all this while we thought things were well with you guys, but you are telling me you're going to the IMF, meaning that at this point I can't trust that things are stronger with you. And therefore, at that point, that speculative element, you give rise to it. And that was most of what led to people who are trying to reposition themselves quickly because they don't know what else you are going to tell us, right? And now you go through this process and you come back and the IMF and you get a record staff level agreement within 5 months, which means that maybe the way they thought things were that bad, things are not that bad. But already people have speculated on what.
But at the expense of some draconian policy implementations in the country, where of course people's investments are getting heavily impacted, especially the bonds that we heard of are going to be restructured, where there's going to be zero interest for the next 1 year, then there's some 5% and then 15% going into and stretching even the maturity periods, etc. These are very draconian. These are very not pleasurable to our people. So the expense, the what we have to sacrifice to actually even get the IMF to actually back us up with the agreements we are currently about to undertake with them, it's very hard for the citizenry. You know what I mean? So I see the combination of policy positions that the government have to take and the bitter pills they have to take, and even trying to sell that is becoming problematic in a way, because the inflation numbers are where they still are, the interest rates are still very high. So the fundamentals haven't changed to say they are now favorable, and it's the reason we are kind of seeing.
And that is what should tell you that what led to that was speculation, because even this city appreciating what has changed with our fundamentals. It doesn't, even if for anything at all, our fundamentals have gotten a little bit restrictive, right? Interest rates have gone up, they've gotten a little bit worse. Inflation is still up, but with all these numbers, why is it that your city is appreciating?
It just shows that the speculation piece was really influential in the 14 that we've seen. That things are just reverting back to where they were, where they were with a bad fundamental. We still didn't have the city just skyrocketing.
Exactly. So that is how you can make the connection that what has happened has nothing to do with fundamental. Because, I mean, NDC, because we raised the interest rate too, right? Now, for somebody who is here, if you want to invest your money in any instrument, you are better off taking your dollar to Ghana and living in the cities and not bringing the money back here, right? Because
you don't want to do that. Trust me.
Well, but that's what I'm saying.
The city is not a very stable currency.
Yeah, you're not going to bring it back.
Today is good. Tomorrow is going to be bad again. Because our debt issue that we are talking about, right? We have to do some very horrible things just to kind of get control over the debt. In other words, we have to tell people that the investment you've made, you're not going to get the returns that we promised you. It's hard. I mean, it's granted we are doing it for the domestic markets because we don't really have a choice, right?
I'm with you. That was why your debt structure is very important. You know why we able to get out of this? Remember, before coming into this particular position, our debt structure was that 49% of it was domestic and 51% of it was what? External.
Well, we had to kind of, take the bonds and then pay the I think we reduced the domestic ones because the interest rates were so high. That's what we were doing before, right?
Right. And that is what I'm saying. So what has saved us here is because most of the debts that we owe are domestic. So your domestic people, you can deal with them. Those are the first point you can always deal with when it comes to your debt, right? And that is why we're pushing this burden on them. But then this burden that we're pushing on them, think about it, Amuzi, what is the alternative? If you don't have it, then the economy finally collapses. Then even that investment that you say, now you're getting some interest cut on, you might probably even lose everything. Just like somebody might have lost his money with this CD depreciation or CD1 appreciating by market forces. You can lose your investment. And remember, whenever you're investing, there's this clause that past returns don't guarantee.
It's a risk and return, right?
It's a risk and return environment. So you can lose.
Not to mean that the government bonds are supposed to be the most stabilized because you are pegged to the risk-free, and then so you don't expect the government to be defaulting on their bond. That is the safest. And this is where we put our retirement funds and all this other stuff. So it is just painful that the government, what we are doing here is akin to price control, things we saw in the 80s where Rollins just all of a sudden decided that, I'm going to control prices. I'm going to do this.
That is where government has influence, because even this pension that you're talking about, remember when this government came, there were a lot of pension in arrears. It took this government to pay this second tier and third tier pension people and provide them the money.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. So what I'm telling them is that the alternative in their own environment, in the domestic economy, it looks like government is still the better relative option for them, because corporate bonds will not give you that security that you are talking, even in this current moment, because the market can make them lose everything that they have.
Putting money under the mattress is the best way now, right?
Well, but you see that you are worse off too. Think about it, because inflation is so high. So
they're giving you 0%. So imagine inflation is on the increase. So already you are losing it, putting it in the bank anyway.
No,
and then the chances that the government may come and say, you know what, the one you even have at the bank, and if God forbid the banks actually go out of business, and you know what they did with people's money when they close those banks down. So my wife was telling me about going to Ghana and everything, and I'm like,
there's a law.
I don't know.
There's a law in Ghana, like the FDIC, that protect like depositors' money up to a certain amount. Once we had that issue, so now it depositors amount are protected up to a certain amount, like it's like an insurance. You get what I'm trying to say?
If the government is not able to honor bonds, then how much more is this?
Think about
FDIC stuff.
Think about it. Government would default, but government will only prolong the time that it will take to pay you. But no matter what, government will always pay you. Just that in this case, they are going to prolong how long you expect that money.
They would have dissipated your value. That's the thing. The thing is that the inflation rate is not catching up with the interest rate they are promising to pay even unto the years they've spread them to. So they would have dissipated the value of those investments. What we are saying, and you don't even have a choice of taking your money out. I mean, what they've done here is very significant. I mean, people shouldn't. What the government has done here is significant. It's like robbing the people daylight,
But so you see why I always tell the people that if you sit there, you say you don't care. I don't care about politics. I don't care about this. And when we are discussing this issue, you make it look like there's some people that care, that want to discuss it. You see how government policy and decisions can come back and affect everybody in the economy.
It is so people don't understand what is happening now, but they wake up to it because it's crazy what is happening.
What we pray is that the economy, if they finish doing this, the economy recovers fast, grow fast, so that people can recoup some of those implicit losses that we are going to take. If that doesn't happen and the economy further goes down, I'm sorry,
it's gonna be worse because where else are you gonna turn? You know
exactly. Where else are you going to turn? So
and chances are the NPP might not be in power. So the NDC, I'm sure. Why do you even want to come back to government? Because the trouble you have.
If you don't have the government do the right thing now, tomorrow you come back and these issues with legacy issues that you have to contend with. And that is why I like the posture of the John Mahama now, talking in those terms that hey, we can't do politics as usual. We have to help salvage the situation. If the people vote for you, hey, they'll vote for you. They know the people know better what is happening on the ground, right? So if tomorrow we come into power and we don't help them fix this problem, tomorrow when we come, we'll struggle. And it will just snowball and the whole country will just suffer like that. So for me, it's time for sober reflection. But you know what has happened now, Amuzu? You know, government can cause inflation so that his debt can go down. Do you know about that trick?
Well, of course. I mean, cost inflation is just push a lot of money into the system and people have plenty of money in their pockets. Prices go high. You know, it just... what is happening is it's really bad, you know, but they had taken very crafty way of doing the austerity measures they want to push around without people really seeing the ramifications that will come after it. At least the city is stabilized and everybody's jubilating. I don't think we should be jubilating this. I think we should be worried about this.
That's what I tell them. We ask for the city. You know, did I tell you here before that there's nothing wrong with the depreciating currency or underappreciating currency? It depends on your relative.
Our currency is made to depreciate anyway.
But that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying, that there's nothing absolutely wrong with a depreciating currency. It depends on you, your relative position to that. That makes a difference. So as it is depreciating, some people, based on their relative position, they will take losses. But now that it is appreciating, some people too are taking losses. You know that
they're taking losses, yeah. So it depends on where you are.
It depends on where you are. That is why you have to understand these things and position yourself in such a way that you can hedge both ways. So that if it is depreciating, your losses are cut.
Will be mitigated.
So the thing is that we need a balance that satisfies those that want it to depreciate, and a balance that satisfies those that want it to appreciate. That balance is where economic policy must aim at. It must not aim at trying to satisfy one end, like zero-sum game. Some people gain, and then that kind of economic will be volatile for everybody.
All right, today we did 3 hours 11 minutes, record time. I mean, we've been off for so long, so it's good that we come back and engage in some of the very important issues in affecting our people today. As always, Mr. Amposa always comes with the power of oratory, power of understanding, and of course advocacy for his party. And today a little independent today more, maybe because we focus so much more on NDC, so no choice but be very independent. So I really appreciate you and everything you contributed today. I'm hoping the NDC should be done soon so we know who the chairperson is going to be. But again, I wish them all the best. I feel like I mean, this is 2022. We need to kind of refresh this thing. These old people, especially with the discipline, the way they display, the way they show themselves out in the media is so disappointing to me. I like, it shouldn't take people as young as us to even say, oh, by the way, what you're saying is crazy. You shouldn't be saying that. I mean, keep that indoors, right? Keep that. Maybe if Rollins was alive, none of this would have been the case, right? But we are where we are. Then he also speak of who's the leader of the party. Is he John Dramani Mahama? Is he calling these people to order? Because some of these tapes are coming one after the other. It's permeating, right? To where it's not only the general secretary who's saying some bad stuff out there, but the Pablo is saying bad stuff. Sami Jenfin is responding. All these other people, everybody is just running their mouth. Like, where is the adult in the room, man? I'm concerned about that. That, we can have a party that is likely to become the next government with no discipline. That's not very encouraging.
And Amus, you know, that is one thing that I don't know the political cycle about NDC election calendar, but Amus, if I'm a consultant and I'm sitting out there and I'm advising the NDC, when will a party that is in opposition be lagging the ruling party in terms of organization when it comes to political?
Yeah, the organization
Yeah,
piece has been
exactly.
very
There's so many
disappointing
things that
all the
if you
time.
just
Yeah,
if you are just like, I mean, a
because
consultant
they have time. They have time on their hand. It's not like
exactly. So
you
why
know, you
would
have
you
a
put
lot
yourself
of time.
in this position? You should have been doing you should have been like the MPP. You should have organized yourself long before. But
Even they should be differentiating themselves. They
so
should show
sometimes
us.
I'm like,
They should
this guy.
show the good governance that they want to unleash on the country. They should tell us by the organization, the way they conduct themselves, the things they do, they are better. They're going to be better managers of our country than the kind of mess we currently are in. But it doesn't. It's not coming across.
That is the best opportunity to market your party because the media is going to cover you free.
Yeah.
So the way you package that particular product can create a big difference in the minds of the average voter. That is not even something which way is going to vote.
Maybe we should just agree that the NPP are better sellers of themselves than the NDC. I think that's what it's been, you know.
Yeah, that is just something bad for the NDC because I feel like you should know these things. Am I the one to even tell you these things? If you've been in government, you've gone through this many times. You have consultants that are out there that can communicate. It's not just talking, no. Communication, the way you organize yourself to communicate to a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, we should all be on the same page. I mean, certain things should stay in the closed doors. We should all be on the same page when we come. We got to recognize that the electorates are your customers and you're selling to them some ideas, some level of, So when we have to come in front of the electorate and tell them, hey, this is what is happening back door, then we have a problem, you know? And it's always... you know, that way, if you don't have an adult somewhere who can call people into line and say, listen, come on, guys, sure. I know today, you know, on the platform, the Congress platform, everybody's saying peace, talking nicely, but it shouldn't take to that last minute. Did
the USA branch have the election already? Because I know
they're already done with that.
I know Paul was complaining that maybe something didn't go right. But
Paul contested, but I believe he didn't win his contest. I mean, there's some complaints here and there and all, but
Paul, there's so many ways Paul can still have this party. He doesn't have to be in that position. He has some good,
right.
So I think he should still make himself available in whatever way he can and support the party down there. I mean, and I know Paul
and even the NDC USA, you know, Paul and Co, who contested for higher positions in the chapter, they kept it quiet. They were decorous in admitting their, you know, defeats and all that. Even if there's a problem, they know better ways
to channel it. Yeah.
And then the national are the ones who are really fighting like little kids.
Even the losers are mature enough to know when to talk, when not to talk, and then the winners are just all over the place.
I don't believe in keeping quiet over these things. I mean, if you are misbehaving, let's say it right the way it is. You know, especially there's certain ways to conduct yourself. I mean, and you expect people in higher positions to have higher responsibilities in how they discuss things, right? So anyway, it's been great. Any last words from you before we go?
Yeah, I'll say welcome back. I know school has been keeping you, but it's all important. That development is very important. I myself have been in school a little bit, developing myself. So the world is changing, and we all need to be, abreast with time. And I can see today from your show that you've really read some case laws or whatever, because your cross examination is really hard.
It's getting my brother kind of hang up on us, but I'll reach out to him and we'll talk behind the scene.
So it's good, and they need that. They need to be challenged. That way, they can elevate, party politics to a level, because that even helps the party themselves. Right. And that for me, it's how I see it, because like I said, I'll be happy if I can feel comfortable with any opposition party that comes into power that has shown some capacity to deliver.
I mean, only one Ghana we get, right? We don't get two Ghana. So it is in our interest that whichever party is leading the country, it's doing the right thing. So
right.
Yeah, and then we also want to make sure the Ghana agenda is not just it's not a soft show. You gotta be ready to be pushed. You may not like it, but I guess maybe we'll talk in the back end. Maybe I
Okay.
can also get feedback on things I need to improve on. All right.
Well, thank you, and have a
Thank
good
you
one.
so much, man. Have a wonderful rest of the week. And then maybe between Brazil and France and the other country, which is going to be Argentina. Who are you rooting for? Who you think is gonna
may the best team win.
may the best team win? This political talk right there. Okay.
Yeah,
All right, guys.
I'm indifferent. Anybody that wins it, they deserve it. They've done well.
All right. Some people say Messi deserves it, but others are saying, Mbappe is getting ready to take his throne and lead the world in football. So we'll see. May the best win.
Yes.
All right. Have a good one, sir. Bye-bye. All right. That's been our show. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week. If it is Saturday, it's the Ghana Agenda. Thanks for watching. Again, my name is Alfredo Mozo.
Are you 65 years or older? Good news. Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact United African Organization, UAO, WhatsApp, SMS, IL65 to 773-420-8976. It's true. For most people, your health insurance program increases as you grow older. That's why the state of Illinois has expanded its Medicaid health insurance program to everyone 65 and older, regardless of your immigration status. Need help to apply? Contact